Naruto, God Rewards Hard Work, Chapter 281. In the forest under the sunlight, Uchiha Itachi walked aimlessly, and a black head popped out from time to time beside him. It was Black Zetsu. Black Zetsu showed his white teeth, looked at Itachi and said, "Mr. Itachi, is it really right for you to take this path?" "Z, he will find me no matter what." "Where is he?" Itachi spoke slowly, his tone full of calmness. "As expected of brothers, Mr. Itachi, Uchiha Sasuke has come to the vicinity of the Line Cliff at the moment, but the distance is a little wrong." Z slowly spoke, from time to time from one tree to another. Under the sunlight, Black Zetsu was like a fleeting black shadow. "It's okay, let's wait for him in front, he will find it." Although Itachi's voice was calm, it was full of convincing power. On Sasuke's side, according to intelligence, he knew that Uchiha Itachi had come out of the Akatsuki organization. He stood on the top of the Line Cliff, looking into the distance, and a group of birds flew by not far away. Sasuke slowly took out something that looked like a Dragon Ball radar, and slowly pressed a button. A few blue dots appeared on it. What appeared on it was the chakra reaction. He relied on this thing to locate Uchiha Itachi's position. A powerful chakra unit appeared in the northwest direction. "Am I off course?" Sasuke smiled lightly, jumped off the cliff, and jumped swiftly between the trees. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared into the forest, leaving only the cries of a few birds when they were startled. "Is it finally here?" Uchiha Itachi opened his eyes, and the scarlet three Magatama appeared in his eye sockets, looking very cold and calm. At this time, a handsome young man wearing a loose shirt with the Uchiha clan emblem printed on the back walked into Itachi's sight. It was Sasuke. Seeing Itachi here, as if he was waiting for him, he was not surprised. After all, he did not hide his figure along the way. Besides, the intelligence ability of the Akatsuki organization was not bad. "Sasuke, my stupid brother, you are finally here." Itachi made a cold voice. Sasuke's calm face finally showed some fluctuations at this time, and he slowly said, "Stupid. Haha, my stupid brother, you are not qualified to say that others are stupid, because you are stupid yourself. You believed the arrangement of the village, killed your own family, and were brainwashed without knowing it. This is the stupidest thing in itself." As Sasuke slowly spoke, Itachi's face began to change. "Do you think your idea is correct? Now you see, the village you wanted to protect has been taken down by us, and Tsunade-sama and others have all sided with us. But you have to remember that the village does not have a grave for Uchiha, because their souls cannot rest in peace. This is all because of Sarutobi Hiruzen, Shimura Danzo, and you, who you are loyal to. Listen, Itachi, the souls of Uchiha are constantly wailing, 'Are you worthy of Brother Shisui?'" As Sasuke was sad, Itachi's face gradually became difficult to look at, and a sad look appeared on his face. "Brother Shisui, sorry, Shisui," Itachi murmured. The look he gave Sasuke was full of coldness, but a touch of warmth emerged from the depths of his pupils, which disappeared in the blink of an eye. "The tribesmen are just tools for me to measure. You are still so naive, Sasuke. Is your hatred deep enough?" Itachi suddenly roared loudly, and with a slight movement of his hand, countless shurikens hit Sasuke in an instant. Fire style, Phoenix Claw Red. Shuriken wrapped in flames hit Sasuke. Lightning flashed in Sasuke's hand, and dozens of lightning instantly intercepted all the attacks. In this world, the law of the jungle is real, and only strength is everything. Itachi looked at Sasuke and said, trying to provoke Sasuke. "Ha ha 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 tilde." Sasuke's crazy laughter sounded, and the hatred that had been suppressed for many years burst out in an instant. "Itachi, Itachi, are you still acting? I don't understand why the village is so important in your eyes. Is it not as important as your parents who gave birth to you and raised you? Your resources are all given by your family. Without your family, there would be no village. Do you want me to hate you, pursue power, and finally kill you to restore the glory of Uchiha?" It's impossible. How can I revitalize Uchiha with only me left? Your idea is simply rotten. Sasuke laughed crazily, and his words instantly made Itachi's pupils shrink suddenly. You want to preserve the village and prevent it from being harmed by war. Do you think you can do it by killing Uchiha? Since the Uchiha are in turmoil, why not let the Uchiha run away and leave the village, so that the village and the family will not have any problems, and both sides will not be damaged by the outbreak of fighting. I hate it. I hate you, Uchiha Itachi, for being reckless and unwise. I hate you, Uchiha Itachi, for being fooled by the village. I hate everything you arranged for me even more. Why do you think I will follow your arrangements? Answer me, Uchiha Itachi. The emotion of hatred began to fill Sasuke's mind, but Sasuke did not completely lose his mind. Itachi's face finally changed completely. He showed a painful look and said, Sasuke, you don't understand. Don't talk nonsense, Itachi, it's too easy for you to die like this. Do you want to know what Brother Shisui has arranged for you? Since you want to restore the glory of Uchiha, then work hard for it. I will break your legs and let you marry dozens of girls to continue the Uchiha bloodline. Itachi was numb when he heard this. Shisui, you stabbed me in the back. You are no longer the pure brother Shisui. You can come up with such a vicious plan. Sasuke approached directly and fired a lightning escape Chidori at Itachi. Suddenly, branches wrapped around Sasuke's waist. Sasuke hurriedly looked down and saw that the trees spread up instantly. Don't be happy too early. At this time, Itachi looked behind him instantly. A ball of lightning escape appeared in Sasuke's hand, and Sasuke, who was tied by the tree before, turned into a dead tree. Oh, really? A kunai and a pair of big hands suddenly appeared on Sasuke's neck, and Itachi turned into a crow and blew away. Sasuke, your illusion is already very good. Itachi spoke slowly and returned to his previous state. As long as he didn't care, it wouldn't be a problem. At this moment, Black Zetsu in the outside world looked at the two motionless figures in front of him with a puzzled look. He poked his head out from behind the rock, staring at the two people with his small eyes, and at this time, a white Zetsu suddenly popped up his head. Black Zetsu, do you know what feces smell like? White Zetsu looked at Black Zetsu's dark body and said. Black Zetsu's face was full of black lines, and he uttered a word, get out. Chapter 282. The two's previous attacks were actually carried out in illusions. Just as Black Zetsu was watching them, the two suddenly moved and jumped back at the same time. Is this your strength? Sasuke said slowly, his tone full of disdain. At this moment, Itachi had already been broken by Sasuke's words before, so how could he speak again at this moment? He directly hit Sasuke with a flame. Itachi's seal formation speed was very fast, and in the blink of an eye, a seal was formed in an instant, turning into a sea of fire and hitting Sasuke. Sasuke directly formed a seal with his left hand, Earth Escape Earth Flow Wall. A very normal Earth Escape rose up, blocking the blazing flames, and there were no other fancy operations, such as the Earth Flow Wall carving a dog head. A white light flashed, and the Earth Flow Wall instantly split in two from the middle. Sasuke held the Kusanagi sword and slashed at Itachi. Even though Sasuke did not worship Orochimaru as his master again, in order to enhance Sasuke's strength, Orochimaru still gave the Kusanagi sword and summoning technique to Sasuke. This is also what Naruto likes to see. Sasuke hit Itachi, and at the same time, Sasuke's dozens of lightning needles directly blocked Itachi's activity space. The Kusanagi sword was swung heavily, and it was thought that it would work, but Itachi turned into a crow and dispersed. And Itachi reappeared in an open space, and the three Magatama quickly rotated and turned into a Mangekyo Sharingan. Sasuke secretly said that it was not good, and the surroundings instantly turned into a white expanse, and the sky fire fell from the sky. He hurriedly activated the Sharingan, and the Mangekyo took shape instantly. The picture suddenly shattered like a mirror, and at this moment Itachi's figure had appeared less than 1 meter away from Sasuke. Sasuke pulled back, and blood slowly flowed from his arm, just a little bit. But if he hadn't reacted quickly, he might have been injured in the chest, or even the heart. Amaterasu. Itachi said slowly. Blood flowed from his eyes, and a black flame appeared out of thin air. Sasuke raised his hand, and a black flame also appeared on his left arm, turning into a shield to block Uchiha Itachi's Amaterasu. The Amaterasu shield immediately wrapped Itachi's flames, and then slowly disappeared. Amaterasu and Kagutsuchi, very good abilities. Itachi exclaimed. Kagutsuchi can not only control Amaterasu's flames, but also control the same fire escape ninjutsu, which is the ultimate control of flame escape. Itachi looked at Sasuke, and the corners of his mouth couldn't help but curl up slightly. Has he grown to this point? Sasuke's physical skills and illusions, and even combat experience are not bad. With powerful chakra, you will definitely be able to carry forward Uchiha. Sasuke couldn't help but smile. Has he grown to this point? He has truly become one of the strong men in the ninja world. Young Sasuke, since you already know everything, let me put an end to it and let you see the true power of Uchiha. Itachi laughed wildly, seemingly in a state of madness. Tsukuyomi. Enshrouded by illusion, Sasuke immediately entered Itachi's illusion space. Is this Tsukuyomi? As expected, it's a joke for 3 Magatama to defeat Mangekyo. Sasuke snorted coldly, remembering what Naruto had said to him. As he gained a deeper understanding of Mangekyo, he understood more and more what kind of power Mangekyo had. Not to mention the Mangekyo pupil technique, the illusion blessed by Mangekyo alone was not something that 3 Magatama could resist. Sasuke, do you want to know all the truth? Then defeat me, do everything you can to defeat me. Itachi looked at Sasuke, with a crazy look on his face. Itachi used the instant body technique to appear in front of Sasuke, and swung the kunai in his hand quickly, aiming directly at Sasuke's face. At the critical moment, Sasuke grabbed Itachi's wrist. Itachi let go of his hand, the kunai fell, and the other hand caught it and stabbed Sasuke again. But the next moment, Sasuke turned into a puddle of mud. Because of Naruto's influence, Sasuke also learned several earth escape life-saving ninjutsu. Although not very proficient, it can save lives at critical moments. Swish. Boom. Itachi kicked out, and Sasuke's figure appeared, and was kicked away, hitting the mountain wall next to him. A groove appeared on the mountain wall, and there were cracks all around. It can be seen how powerful Itachi's kick was. But to Itachi's surprise, Sasuke actually stood up and didn't seem to be seriously injured. It hurts a little, but that's all. Sasuke wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. Compared to the physical fitness in the original book, his physical fitness now is simply terrifyingly strong. The next moment, Sasuke disappeared instantly, and a small hole appeared on the ground where he was standing. At this moment, Sasuke appeared behind Itachi, and the Chidori sharp spear directly pierced Itachi's body, but soon Itachi's body turned into a crow and dissipated. Sasuke through Itachi used the same moves as in the original novel, but when faced with such an attack, he did not perform the same operation as in the original novel, but only used the Great Fireball technique to cover the Fuma Shuriken. Sasuke's steel wire was instantly burned out, and the Fuma Shuriken was still spinning, passing through the flames. Itachi waved his hand lightly, and the Fuma Shuriken was directly knocked out. The next moment, Itachi appeared behind Sasuke in an unreasonable way and hit Sasuke's neck. At this time, Sasuke drew out the Kusanagi sword and waved it at Itachi's arm, but it was useless. He appeared on the side again and knocked Sasuke out directly. Sasuke stood up and slowly said, "This is the Tsukuyomi space. In this space, I can't defeat you anyway." Sasuke soon realized that in this space, he was no match at all. "You are worthy of having a Mangekyo, but so what? You can't break my illusion in a short time." Itachi's voice came from all directions. In the Tsukuyomi space, Itachi is a god. It's funny to fight like the original. If Naruto were here, he would probably sigh that the Pacific War no longer exists. Itachi can fight Sasuke for dozens of rounds in Tsukuyomi, but facing Kakashi, the battle ends in 1 second. You must know that Kakashi's Sharingan is Obito's eye, and his own strength can be regarded as superb. But facing Tsukuyomi, he still fell in 1 second, and in the Tsukuyomi space of the original, it became a fair battle, and in the end, Sasuke broke the Mangekyo. And Itachi is still overdrawing his ability and consuming his own combat power just to help Sasuke, but unfortunately, Sasuke in the original is too bad. Just one Amaterasu makes Sasuke helpless, and Amaterasu extinguishes itself while fighting. You know, Amaterasu will turn everything that can be burned into nutrients. Sasuke is already in trouble before Susano comes out, and Itachi is still plotting against Orochimaru. But now, everything is different. Sasuke snorted coldly and said, I really don't have a good way to break your illusion, but there are still stupid ways. Outside, under the gaze of Black Zetsu, Sasuke's body actually burned with black flames, and then, Sasuke was seen gasping for breath, the black flames slowly disappeared, and the scars left by Amaterasu were on his body. Sasuke directly used Amaterasu on himself and forcibly broke Itachi's Tsukuyomi. Chapter 283. Sasuke was breathing heavily, his body was already in a state of burns. The damage of Amaterasu's flame brought great pressure to Sasuke. There was even a faint smell of meat in the air. If Sasuke's body was not strong, he would probably be burned to death by Amaterasu after breaking Tsukuyomi. This method is only suitable for Sasuke, because only Sasuke has the ability to control Amaterasu. Itachi slowly looked at Sasuke and said, Can you still defeat me like this? Itachi looked at the seriously injured Sasuke, and he was already worried about how to let Sasuke defeat him. Black Zetsu, who was not far away, saw it all. While Itachi was thinking, a shocking scene appeared. He saw a touch of blue flames reappear on Sasuke's body. Where the blue flames covered, Sasuke's injuries began to heal at an extremely fast speed. As this, Amaterasu, double form of the one-eye technique. Itachi was secretly shocked, and his face changed. At the same time, he was relieved in his heart, and he didn't even notice it. Do you think I'm not prepared to use this move? HMPH. Sasuke snorted coldly, and the lightning in his hand exploded and hit Itachi. The raging lightning instantly covered the space of 20 meters around. Countless lightnings were like pythons, waving their bodies and attacking Itachi. Seeing such a scene, Itachi was also a little surprised. The whole person rolled back, and his hands quickly formed a seal, and only the afterimage could be seen. A simple wind escape breakthrough cut a hole in the raging thunder in front of him, turning into a crow and dispersing. At this time, Itachi's shadow clone appeared behind Sasuke. He had just taken the time to form the seal of the shadow clone. But just when Itachi wanted to attack Sasuke from behind, Sasuke seemed to have a pair of eyes on his back, and the Kusanagi sword immediately stabbed behind him. Bang! With a crisp sound, the shadow clone turned into smoke and dissipated. Sasuke made a seal of the snake, and a raging flame spurted out of his mouth, which hit Itachi's face directly. Seeing the fierce fire escape, Itachi used Amaterasu flame, which immediately suppressed Sasuke's flame, and even burned through Sasuke's flame and was about to burn Sasuke. Sasuke's face showed an angry expression, and he roared, Uchiha Itachi, are you wantonly showing off your pupil power? Don't underestimate me, show me your true ability. Sasuke knew very well that without the help of Hashirama's cells, Itachi would only lose his sight in the process of constantly using the Mangekyo. Itachi couldn't have been unaware that it was impossible to hurt Sasuke with such a simple method. His current vision was not comparable to the Sasuke in the original book. The angry Sasuke kept firing fire escape ninjutsu at Itachi, and one after another of the great dragon fire jutsu rose from the ground and went straight into the sky. Amaterasu. This was the first time Sasuke started to use Amaterasu against Itachi. Amaterasu's ability was too strong, and he didn't want Itachi to die so easily. Itachi was obviously very familiar with Amaterasu. He burst out a flame and jumped behind him. He easily got rid of Amaterasu's lock. However, Sasuke continued to use Amaterasu to lock Itachi's position. Itachi turned into a series of afterimages and quickly avoided Amaterasu's attack. Feeling the sufficient pupil power in his eyes, Sasuke couldn't help but smile. He was not in danger of blindness, but how many times could Itachi use his Mangekyo? The sky gradually became gray, which was Sasuke's goal. Itachi looked up at the sky and seemed to understand something. Witness my power. This is my self-created S-level lightning release ninjutsu Kirin. Sasuke showed a proud look on his face. Black Zetsu in the distance looked at this scene and murmured, even the celestial phenomena are controlled. Thanks to the scientific knowledge that Naruto asked Sasuke to learn, the Kirin move could not be created without profound scientific knowledge. In the original work, Sasuke followed Orochimaru and learned a lot of scientific knowledge from him. After all, Orochimaru is the only scientist in the ninja world. Among the ninjas, Orochimaru is the only one who pursues the power of science. Looking at the ninjutsu that was like a natural disaster, Itachi also showed a meaningful smile. Kirin descended. The smoke was shrouded, and even the terrain had changed greatly. A huge figure was looming in the smoke. Sasuke raised his mouth, and it was true. The smoke slowly dissipated, and a giant formed by chakra stood in the center. The red giant was the supreme secret of the Uchiha family, Susano. When the two eye techniques are awakened, the third technique hidden in the Mangekyo will be awakened, Susano, which can be called the ninjutsu of God. With the name of God, you can imagine how powerful Susano is. In front of Sasuke, Itachi was below Susano. Susano at this stage, let's call it the second stage of Susano, the skeleton directly protected Itachi. Seeing that his ninjutsu did not break the defense, Sasuke sighed secretly. This was an S-level lightning ninjutsu he created himself, without anyone's help, but from the current situation, Kirin's use is still difficult. Although it does not consume much chakra, it requires the use of the environment and the fine control of chakra, and it takes a certain amount of time, and the power of the attack is too dispersed. It is good for clearing soldiers, but it is obviously a bit difficult to use it to decide the outcome with one blow. But Sasuke didn't care. After all, this is not his strongest means. Susano. Sasuke chuckled, and Susano also appeared behind him, and it was in the same state as Itachi. With Sasuke's foundation, it is not surprising to open this stage of Susano. Sasuke, have you grown to this point? Itachi murmured, and suddenly coughed. He raised his head, not knowing what he was thinking. Feeling the pain in his body, Itachi suddenly laughed, ha 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 ha. Come on, Sasuke, let me see your capacity, let me see how deep your hatred is. Seeing such a crazy Itachi, Sasuke shook his head and said, do you think you can anger me? Hatred can bring strength to the Uchiha clan, but love can also. Losing love and turning into hatred is not the best way. It is only strong for a while, not for a lifetime. Suddenly, Itachi's laughter stopped. He stared at Sasuke blankly, as if he recognized his younger brother for the first time. My belief, how can you know? Sasuke shook his head. Since he learned from Nagato that the Samsara Eye does have the ability to resurrect the dead, Sasuke's thoughts have long changed from the previous revenge. He only wants Uchiha Itachi to atone for his sins, just like Shisui and the people everyone said. If death can eliminate all sins, it will be extremely cruel to those dead Uchiha clan members. He believes that Naruto can create miracles. This is the most important thing. Chapter 284. Sasuke didn't say anything more, and controlled Susano to attack Itachi directly. The two giant-like beings collided with each other, making a rumbling sound. The powerful forces collided with each other, stirring up countless dust, and the surrounding trees quickly tilted to the side. The land under the feet of the two people sank directly because they could not withstand the impact of the powerful force. Itachi, let's make a conclusion. Sasuke roared, and Susano evolved again, and muscles and flesh began to fill Susano. This was the maximum he could achieve. Sasuke's Susano quickly suppressed Itachi's Susano. Seeing the changes in Sasuke's Susano, Itachi's eyes revealed a bit of shock, and his hands couldn't help but clenched tightly. Obviously, Sasuke's strength was beyond his expectations. Have you reached this point? Itachi laughed, and a strong fighting spirit emerged from his body. Then, Itachi's Susano also changed, and the weakened muscles also began to fill Susano. The powerful chakra fluctuations were daunting. The ordinary ninjas would probably go crazy when they saw the duel between the two. Black Zetsu, who was watching the battle from a distance, could not help but sigh slightly. These two people, in terms of talent, seemed to be no less talented than Uchiha Madara. What they lacked was just an opportunity. Indra's bow. Sasuke's Susano suddenly appeared with a bow and arrow formed by chalk, and the huge bow and arrow exuded a destructive aura. Swish! 3 arrows were fired at the same time, and Indra's arrow rushed towards Itachi. The powerful force exploded directly on Itachi's Susano, and a huge smoke enveloped it. The powerful attack was thunderous. Itachi looked solemnly in the direction of the smoke, without any sign of winning. As expected, the smoke dissipated, and the 8-foot mirror enveloped the figure of Itachi's Susano. Under this attack, Itachi seemed to be fine, but blood spurted out of his mouth, and blood slowly seeped out of his eyes. Can you still hold on? Sasuke's eyes changed when he saw Itachi's appearance. You awakened the Mangekyo Sharingan very early. Excessive use of the Mangekyo has overdrawn your body. This is why you are eager to fight me. My eyes have seen through everything. Sasuke said slowly. Although he said so, Sasuke was still glad that Naruto told him not to awaken the Mangekyo Sharingan too early. The power of the Mangekyo is too strong. It contains divine power. This power will cause the body to bear great pressure without strong physical support. And now, Sasuke's foundation is really good. His body, chakra, and spirit have been greatly improved. He also got Hashirama's cells, which once again improved his potential. After awakening the Mangekyo Sharingan, Sasuke's Susano awakened to the 3rd stage in a short time. Before coming out, he could only use the 2nd stage of Susano, but now he has realized a more advanced form in battle. And there is not too much pressure on the body. Seeing that Itachi has reached the limit, Sasuke slowly said, "In this case, let's end everything with one move." Sasuke slowly injected power into Susano, and a powerful thunder and lightning appeared. Sasuke actually wanted to use Susano to launch the super electromagnetic gun. As power continued to gather, Itachi smiled. He knew that Sasuke had surpassed him, but he still wanted to see what height Sasuke had reached at this last critical moment. In Susano's hand, with the 8-foot mirror in one hand and the 10-fist sword in the other, Itachi looked forward with a firm look. Come on, let me see if your power can bear the glory of Uchiha. Itachi began to stimulate the last vitality and concentrated most of the chakra on Susano. On Sasuke's side, a white light flashed by, and thunder raged, like a giant thunder python hitting Itachi. Boom! A huge sound was heard, and a deep gully was instantly created on the ground. Such a huge power directly frightened Black Zetsu in the distance. Looking around, the bright red chakra giant was covered with cracks, and the center of his chest was black and empty. And Uchiha Itachi fell to the ground, his life or death unknown. The fishing net-tight combat suit on his body had been broken, like some rags draped over his body, and the black marks of lightning on his body. Sasuke's attack just now actually pierced Susano directly. This was because Sasuke stopped temporarily, otherwise Uchiha Itachi might not even have left his whole body. Sasuke hurriedly jumped to Itachi's side, feeling his weak breath. Sasuke hurriedly covered the blue flame on his body, to prevent him from dying suddenly. Although his injuries were temporarily stabilized, the worst thing about Uchiha Itachi was not his injuries, but the accumulated diseases and hidden injuries. Sasuke hurriedly activated the trump card left by Naruto for him, and space fluctuations appeared. Sasuke and Itachi disappeared directly on the spot, leaving only broken walls and ruins, indicating that a fierce battle had broken out here. Not far away, Black Zetsu was dumbfounded. Uchiha Sasuke actually took Itachi away directly, and used space ninjutsu, which looked a bit like reverse summoning technique. Uchiha Itachi's life and death is unknown. Even if he is dead, it doesn't mean that Uchiha Sasuke is about to get a pair of eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. Thinking of the consequences of the matter, Black Zetsu hurriedly left and wanted to tell Obito about this matter. No one knows better than him how difficult a pair of eternal Mangekyo Sharingan is. This is simply another Uchiha Madara in the world. Although this is almost impossible, after all, Uchiha Madara's talent is what Black Zetsu has waited for so long, but it can also greatly enhance the strength of Uzumaki Naruto and others, which Black Zetsu will never allow, which means that the resurrection of the Ten Tails will become more difficult. As for Sasuke, he returned directly to the umbrella base through Naruto's technique. Soon, everyone learned that Sasuke brought Uchiha Itachi back, and the most excited were the remaining Uchiha clansmen. They can be said to have a blood feud with Itachi. Although it was not only Itachi who took action at the beginning, it was almost only Itachi left. Everyone else has been settled. The families of Sarutobi and Danzo are popular in the ninja world today. Many wandering ninjas have set their sights on the collections of Sarutobi and Shimura clans, but a lean camel is bigger than a horse. After all, wandering ninjas are a group of insignificant things, and the reason why Naruto did not immediately eradicate these two families is just to cultivate the people of the organization. The younger generation can find trouble with these people, which is considered an experience. Tsunade was actually happy to see this happen. Since they betrayed Konoha, she didn't want the bastards from these two families to live too comfortably. After they were exposed, Tsunade realized how much blood they had sucked from Konoha. Chapter 285. Soon, all of Shisui's capable men came over, but they didn't move for the time being, waiting for Naruto's treatment. Naruto also came over quickly, looking at the appearance of Uchiha Itachi. He must have gone through a wonderful battle. Itachi's injuries had been healed by Sasuke, but his clothes showed the tragic situation of the battle at that time. Sasuke, I was right about you, you really did it. Uchiha Yu patted Sasuke's shoulder happily. Uncle Yu, I did it, but Uchiha Itachi's current condition is very bad. The abuse of Mangekyo, coupled with the disease on his body, I'm afraid there is not much time left. Sasuke said slowly. Yu looked at the unconscious Itachi, thought for a moment and said, it would be too easy for this kid to die like this. We can ask Orochimaru and Tsunade to treat him. At least he will be needed to atone for the revival of Uchiha in the future. Yes, that's right, we can't let him die like this. The remaining Uchiha said indignantly. They knew the end of Uchiha Itachi, and it was not a good feeling, but how many people Uchiha can have in the future depends on Uchiha Itachi. No problem, I will contact Orochimaru now. Naruto snapped his fingers and said immediately. How to deal with Uchiha Itachi is their business, he should just be a spectator. For a person like Uchiha Itachi, Naruto is actually very contradictory. He admires his wisdom and talent, but when he deals with interpersonal relationships and the relationship between the family and the village, he is brainless. He can only sigh that the third generation's rhetoric is really powerful. At the same time, the mental problems caused by the Sharingan cannot be ruled out. Perhaps a topic can be opened on the impact of the Sharingan on the mind. The second generation Hokage must know more about Sharingan. This is a talent in ninjutsu research. When will he be brought here? Naruto thought slowly in his mind, and when he came to his senses, Naruto called Orochimaru. Naruto took out his mobile phone and called Orochimaru. I am Orochimaru, what can I do for you, Naruto-kun? Orochimaru's magnetic voice came. Many Uchiha people don't like Orochimaru. Every time they see Orochimaru, they feel like being stared at by a poisonous snake. But they really admire Orochimaru's level. In the Sky City, Orochimaru is conducting a very interesting research, the development and application of anti-gravity. What? Uchiha Itachi. Okay, I'll be there right away. Orochimaru learned about the situation from the phone and said happily. Although he is no longer interested in Uchiha Itachi, Orochimaru, who once suffered a big loss at the hands of Uchiha Itachi, obviously still cares about Uchiha Itachi. Orochimaru hurriedly passed through the teleportation array set up by the Sky City and teleported directly back to the Umbrella Organization. Orochimaru arrived at the scene soon. When he saw the tattered clothes on Itachi, his pupils shrank. Then he looked at Sasuke. Has Sasuke's strength reached this level? It's understandable. Thinking of Naruto's perversion, Orochimaru immediately calmed down. He has seen more perverted ones. Is he still afraid of a little pervert? Lord Orochimaru, we want you to cure Uchiha Itachi. You said slowly. After hearing this, Orochimaru began to check on Uchiha Itachi's condition. When he finished checking on Uchiha Itachi's condition, Orochimaru's face was already solemn. Uchiha Itachi's condition has exceeded his expectations. Uchiha Itachi's physical condition is now like a mess. Seeing the solemn look on Orochimaru's face, Yu was immediately shocked. He couldn't understand Itachi's condition, but Orochimaru was so solemn that it seemed that there was a lot of trouble. His situation is very troublesome. At least I can't handle it alone. This will greatly take up my research time. Let's find Tsunade. In this regard, no one is more authoritative than Tsunade. When Orochimaru said this, Sasuke and others were obviously relieved. From what Orochimaru said, it's not that he can't be treated, but he thinks it takes up time. They all know Orochimaru. Orochimaru can be said to be a scientific madman. Orochimaru, I think you can study it. After all, aren't you interested in why the Mangekyo can cause blindness? And there is also a power that is almost divine like Susano. Aren't you interested in the power contained in it? Naruto said with a smile. In fact, Naruto is also very interested. The Sharingan is related to spirit, mind, and even emotions. Naruto is also very curious about this. Maybe it can add some experience to his practice of Yin-Dan. If you say what the ultimate of Yin-Dan is, then Naruto will definitely say it is fate. Yes, it is fate. Yin-Dan can achieve the transformation from virtual to real. How exactly is this done? Naruto has not figured it out yet. Even the extreme can reverse life and death, which is what Naruto is more curious about. If Naruto can analyze all these problems, then Naruto will be the human form of the Samsara Eye. The boundary between life and death is no longer a problem for Naruto. Naruto's words instantly attracted the interest of Orochimaru. It must be said that Naruto easily controlled Orochimaru. Soon, Naruto invited Tsunade again, but Tsunade is still in Konoha, and it takes half a day to rush over. This is still because of the air. Naruto did not set up a teleportation array in Konoha. Tsunade is obviously a little interested, because Naruto once said that Senju and Uchiha have the same roots. It was discovered before that Senju and Uchiha have the same genes, and Itachi is obviously a good material. After a long time, Naruto moved Itachi to another room, and now there are fewer people here. Only Naruto, Shisui, Yu, Orochimaru and Sasuke are here. Izumi and Zabuza and others went to deal with some affairs. I heard that there are a lot of things recently. Tsunade looked at Uchiha Itachi lying on the operating table and couldn't help but frown secretly. Uchiha Itachi's body was seriously deficient, his vitality was overdrawn, and there were many hidden injuries in his body. Moreover, because of the Mangekyo, it seemed to have caused a blood disease. In the ninja world, once it comes to blood diseases, they are very difficult to deal with, but fortunately, they have experience in treating Kimimaro before, and Itachi's condition is not as bad as Itachi Kimimaro. However, there is no way to save Itachi's vitality. After all, Tsunade can't sacrifice herself to replenish Uchiha Itachi's vitality. After simple treatment, Tsunade's medical technology has also been strengthened, and her medical skills have become more and more sophisticated. She quickly stabilized Uchiha Itachi's condition. The Mangekyo Sharingan brought him great pressure, and his weak body could not bear the power in it. Tsunade said softly. Itachi opened his eyes very early, and he can be said to be the earliest person to open his eyes in the history of Uchiha. Of course, it refers to the Mangekyo. At that time, Itachi began to bear the power of the Mangekyo, which formed a great pressure. This is also the reason why Itachi's body has become like this now. Plus the constant fighting. This led to this situation. Tsunade hadn't considered another situation, which was mental illness. Sometimes, mental illness can also cause physical harm. Chapter 286. Naruto, how are you going to deal with Itachi? In the office, Shisui looked at Naruto sitting on the office chair and asked carefully. Looking at the cautious Shisui, Naruto smiled, put down the documents in his hand, and said, "Aren't we going to do it as you suggested before?" Shisui smiled awkwardly and said, "I know you must know my purpose." Naruto shook his head and said, "I know you want to save him, but isn't this too cruel for the rest of the Uchiha clan? Sasuke, your brother, is not anxious, so why are you anxious?" Naruto slowly picked up the teacup on the table, drank a sip of tea happily, and spoke again. "I know you used to have a deep friendship with Itachi, but there are no rules without rules. If you do something wrong, if you want to be beaten, you have to pay a price. But don't worry, I won't do anything to him. After all, it's already been agreed. But his eyes will be left to Sasuke. You also know how important the eternal Mangekyo is to Sasuke. With Hashirama's cells, it is not impossible to open the Samsara Eye in the future." Although Naruto said this, he also knew that it was impossible to open the Samsara Eye with just Hashirama's cells. Although Uchiha Madara opened the Samsara Eye through Hashirama's cells, the most important thing was the chakra of Indra and Ashura in their bodies. This was the most critical issue in opening the Samsara Eye. And Naruto and Sasuke also have the chakra of Ashura and Indra in their bodies. The chakras of these two people are constantly reincarnated. There is no real reincarnation in the ninja world. Obviously, their reincarnation is due to the contribution of the Six Paths Sage. It may not be impossible to revive in the future, and Naruto can now sense the chakra of Ashura in his body. He quietly hid in Naruto's body. It can be said that because of him, Naruto's young attribute chakra is extremely rich. This is not only due to the vortex constitution and the nine-tail, but also the credit of Ashura's chakra. Naruto also discovered it not long ago. Naruto's mental power or soul has been strengthened again, which can discover Ashura's chakra. If Naruto wants, he can even expel Ashura's chakra directly, but this is not good for Naruto. This will undoubtedly offend the Six Paths Sage. The Six Paths Sage has been planning for so many years in the Pure Land. Naruto doesn't know, but it should be good for the ninja world, and it may also be for the outer Otsutsuki clan. After Naruto's discovery, Ashura's chakra will affect the soul of the main body, but this influence can be ignored for Naruto, who has traveled through time, and Sasuke is different. However, because of him, Sasuke has changed a lot, so the influence of Indra can also be regarded as negligible. Yes, there are, such as pretentiousness and arrogance, but they are all minor problems, and a beating will solve them. Shisui looked at Naruto and sighed. "I want to ask, how will you deal with him in the future, so that he won't just be the successor of the Uchiha family?" Shisui's face was full of helplessness. Naruto couldn't deny it, spread his hands and said, since he made the decision, he should have considered the consequences of today. Konoha was undoubtedly a behemoth at that time. If Konoha was damaged, countless people would be homeless. Although his sacrifice of small love for great love is a bit twisted, his awareness is also terrifying. Or it's hard to understand. For this, I can only say that we should vigorously strengthening basic education is also the same for geniuses. If their thoughts are distorted, it is really difficult to save them. I will give him a new pair of eyes and seal his strength. As for whether he will have the opportunity to contribute to our big ship in the future, it depends on his future performance. Shisui also showed a bit of heartache on his face. I didn't notice Itachi's psychological problems at the beginning, alas. If I had discovered it earlier, maybe the result would not be like this. As soon as Shisui finished speaking, he immediately received Naruto's strange eyes, which seemed to say that you were not a fool at the beginning. This look made Shisui feel numb all over. Shisui smiled awkwardly and then said, "A lot. Let's leave it at that for now. There are still some things I need to report to you next." As our strength grows, residents from several surrounding countries have begun to move into our territory and are determined to join us. In addition, many people are pretending to be residents under our rule. There are too many people and it is difficult to distinguish them. Naruto smiled and said, "Isn't this a good thing? This shows that more and more people agree with us." Naruto's words made Shisui smile bitterly and said, "It's a good thing, but it also reflects a lot of problems. It's difficult for us to distinguish the identities of many people, and at the same time, some people don't know what benefits they have. I thought, but as soon as you issued a call, they changed their mind again. We don't have so many people to manage now. The more grassroots, the more difficult it is to manage. I feel that we are becoming more and more like a country." Ha ha ha, Shisui, we still need to strengthen the popularization of education. The more knowledgeable people there are, the more talents there are. I know the trouble of managing a place, and now it is still the people of various countries, but in this situation, you also know that we are now reviving everything. Let the people below work hard for a while. Implement it, try to conduct a census, and at the same time modernize and technologically develop the areas we rule. Didn't you say that many people are difficult to manage? Is it difficult to identify their identities? Then we will give them identities. We can specially create something that can identify identities. I call this thing an identity card. With an ID card, it is very convenient to know where they come from and when they were born. People with identity cards are naturally our people. At the same time, make anti-counterfeiting marks, enter everyone's information into the system, and record their chakra fluctuations. Everyone in the ninja world has chakra in their bodies, but civilians cannot make it stronger. After Naruto finished speaking, Shisui clapped his hands, showing an excited look on his face, and said loudly, "Why didn't I think of it? This is really a great idea. There are so many of us, but we haven't thought about it as thoroughly as you have. We have discussed it many times before, but there is no definite solution. The ID card represents a person's identity. It will be much easier for us to check a person when the time comes. If there is no ID card, the identity is likely to be problematic, and entering the person's information into the system will save a lot of trouble for management, and it will also facilitate our verification. In fact, registration information is very common in the ninja world. In the ninja village, many people will have a file, but ordinary people are not so particular. This is undoubtedly a huge move. Chapter 287. With Shisui's current vision, how could he not see the meaning behind it? The issuance of identity cards will definitely unite the scattered people's hearts and make a key contribution to the future transformation of Umbrella. Now many people regard Umbrella as a multinational organization. They are people of their own country and also members of the organization. Joining an organization, but belonging to a country, this is not a conflict, just like you join a company, but you can't say you are separated from the country. The emergence of identity cards can subtly make those people return to their hearts, and people with identity cards will think from the bottom of their hearts that they belong to a group. This can lay the foundation for future transformation, because Naruto said a long time ago that if you want to completely end the war and achieve long-term peace, the ninja world must be unified. Very good, since you have figured it out, then go and implement it. I may have to retreat during this period. Naruto said to Shisui, his face full of calmness. Retreat? What are you doing? Are you going to enter that level? Shisui asked in horror, and his body couldn't help but stand up. Almost. I feel so. We don't have much time left. At most 1 or 2 months, I feel that the real war will break out. Naruto said calmly, but Shisui couldn't calm down. Some people can't just sit back and watch us get stronger. Get ready, Shisui. After Naruto finished speaking, he immediately made a gesture to see him off. Shisui slowly walked out of Naruto's room, his face full of contemplation, and finally, as if he had made up his mind, he walked away with a high spirit. Rising sun, in the conference room. Shisui opened the meeting about Naruto's words and tried to implement the matter. ID card. That's a good idea. Zabuza's eyes lit up and he said with surprise. To be honest, he was also very troubled by the previous problems. He was good at killing people, but it was difficult for him to manage. Before, he was managing ninjas and just copied the village model, but now he began to contact the people and the people's livelihood. There are also various chores. One person does several jobs. It's not as leisurely as Naruto, who only needs to take charge of the overall situation. Moreover, the Nara clan sent by Konoha is not enough. The ability of the Nara clan is needless to say. They are good at management, but they are quite rare when they are scattered throughout the ninja world. The talents cultivated are still growing, and most of them are talents in combat, followed by talents in science. Although many ordinary people have been promoted in management, it is still too few to find a few who meet their ideas. In Naruto's opinion, the original superiors in the ninja world are still in the feudal era in terms of management, mixed with many aristocratic ideas, and are completely unsuitable for today's umbrella. There are some who are dedicated to the people, but they are rare. Don't we have small bases in various parts of the ninja world? It's just right to use these small bases, and the first batch of people will start from us. Shisui said slowly, and then took out a stack of cards from the drawer under the table, and handed it to the assistant behind him, asking him to distribute it. Everyone got their identity cards, and they were a little curious and looked at them one after another. Zabuza looked at the card with his portrait printed on it, which read: Name, Zabuza. Identity, Combat Squad Leader, multiple positions. Honor, 21 S-class characters. Battles. Hometown, Water City, Mist Hidden Village, currently Snow City. Strength level, 7 stars. Points, 36,520,000. And, the ID cards of several people are made of gold. Everyone who saw it was amazed. The Water Country is no longer called the Water Country, but the name has been changed to Water City. This ID card is very important. It is a symbol of your identity. You can use the ID card to check your information, like this. Shisui inserted his ID card into a small machine, and Shisui's information immediately appeared on the screen. Name, Uchiha Shisui. Identity, Prime Minister of the Umbrella Organization. Honors, following the leader to create the Umbrella Organization, creating a school, performing 42 S-level tasks, A-level tasks, contributions. Strength level, 10 stars. Points, 123,500,000. Shisui revealed a lot of data, which was so luxurious that it was jaw-dropping. Zabuza took a deep breath and said, Hiss. Shisui, you have actually performed so many S-level tasks, and when did you do so many things? Everyone saw Shisui's data display, which was incredibly luxurious. Shisui, you have actually done so many things. Tsunade was obviously a little shocked, and Orochimaru also showed a look of surprise. Orochimaru and Tsunade have been protecting the Umbrella Organization recently, and they are considered high-ranking members of the organization. Jiraiya, who is also one of the 3 ninjas, went to get materials somewhere, and he went there by plane. Shisui smiled, looking a little proud, and said, the organization was established by Naruto and at that time, the organization was penniless. That period was the most difficult time for me. Because Naruto was still in Konoha, Shisui's workload was indeed unimaginable during that period, and it was also extremely dangerous. Shisui can be regarded as a pioneer. Now his prestige in Umbrella is also very high, second only to Naruto. Shisui, you actually have so many points. Transfer some to me. The mall has recently launched a new sea, land and air tank. I'm always envious. You said to you quietly, but everyone present was a master, and they all listened carefully. Orochimaru also inserted his ID card into the machine. Name, Orochimaru. Identity, Senior Researcher. Honors, Experimental Project. Breakthrough, Experimental Project. Breakthrough. Strength level, 8 stars. Points, 35 million. Orochimaru's data seemed much simpler. Most of Orochimaru's honors were obtained through experiments, which was normal after all. Orochimaru joined later. However, what shocked everyone was the difference in strength rating between Orochimaru and Shisui and Orochimaru's points. Points are very precious in Umbrella, and their senior management also has their own internal mall system. It is obviously unimaginable that Orochimaru has so many points in such a short time. Everyone was also curious about their own data and checked it out. Oh my god, why am I so low? Yu was a little tearful. He was considered an old member of the organization, but why did he have so many fewer points than Orochimaru? His points were only about 10 million, Zabuza 20 million, and Tsunade 25 million. Orochimaru was also a little surprised. It can only be said that Naruto is really good to scientific researchers. As for Tsunade, she still had Konoha's affairs to deal with. After all, Konoha has not really been integrated into the umbrella, and the relationship between the two parties is a bit like cooperation. Orochimaru is different. For the sake of truth, he almost completely immersed himself in the laboratory and made more contributions. Chapter 288. Although Yu has been in the organization for a longer time, he stayed at the base more and trained talents. At the same time, he also spent a lot of points. Otherwise, he would not be inferior to Orochimaru. He spent a lot of points on ninjutsu. It was very difficult for him to improve his strength before, so ninjutsu became a means for him to enhance his strength. Now, he is fascinated by the latest technological creations. Combat power is secondary, the key is handsomeness. And now, because of Hashirama's cells, he has opened the Mangekyo Sharingan, and his strength has surpassed Zabuza again. He is very proud. I won't talk about other things, but why is your strength level 10 stars, Shisui? Orochimaru's is only 8 stars. Yu said carelessly, and others were also curious about how this strength level was calculated. Hearing Yu's question, everyone looked at Shisui curiously. Shisui smiled and explained, the strength level is just calculated by us based on your strength. It can only be used as a reference, because I don't know what cards you have in your hands, but it can be used as a reference and a proof of strength. Oh, I understand, it means that your strength has been certified. That should be the meaning. Yu said with sudden enlightenment. Although it was not very accurate, Shisui nodded, and then continued, that's probably what it means. I also know my strength. Your strength is calculated by me based on the information. Shisui-kun, I am very curious, how is this star strength calculated? Orochimaru was also very curious. After all, in the information, Shisui was 2 levels higher than him. To be honest, the gap was a bit big. This is what I confirmed after discussing with Naruto. Before 5 stars, the strength is below the level of Kage, while 6 stars are in the category of Kage, equivalent to the initial level of Kage, and 7 stars are relatively good in the Kage level. Most Kage are in the late stage of Kage, almost at the level of 8 stars, and 9 stars are at the top level of Kage. Reikage and Tsuchikage are almost at this level, but the main reason why Tsuchikage can reach this level is because of his bloodline elimination. However, due to his personal ability, Onoki's lethality fluctuates, and even becomes stronger, but the overall strength is almost at this state. But don't underestimate others, because you never know what cards he has hidden, and it is possible to defeat the strong with the weak. Shisui said slowly, this is also because all kinds of strange ninjutsu lead to uncertainty in combat power, so only the overall strength level is calculated. I understand, it is a very obvious division, but there are too many uncertain factors, but it is very valuable for reference. But what I am most curious about is why your strength is 10 stars, Shisui-kun? Orochimaru continued to ask. This is also the question that others want to ask. Ha ha ha, actually this is Naruto's judgment. I learned a power called intention from Naruto. This is a spiritual existence, a magical ability between illusion and reality. I learned the sword intention. After I lost the Mangekyo Sharingan, I have been honing my sword skills. Finally, with the help of Naruto, I successfully broke the shackles of strength. Orochimaru clapped his hands and said, "Is that so? The spiritual realm is indeed mysterious and has infinite power, but it seems difficult." Well, it is a mysterious ability that requires the perception of the sword's breath. Shisui explained, without any intention of concealing it. When everyone heard it, they immediately knew that this could not be learned. I seem to have heard of this profound concept in the Iron Country, but it seems that no one has ever done it. I heard that the warriors of the Iron Country will also practice sword zen. Is it to perceive the sword intention? Tsunade also interrupted at this time. I don't know much about this. The swordsmanship of the Iron Country is indeed superb. Lord Tsukumo once studied swordsmanship in the Iron Country. Orochimaru shook his head. After hearing that it was so difficult, everyone was no longer interested in this aspect. If they couldn't learn it, this path might only be suitable for Shisui. Okay, let's not talk nonsense on this topic. Next, we will do a good job of the census. The workload is estimated to be a bit heavy. Let's mobilize all the forces below. Dismiss. Everyone walked out of the meeting room. Orochimaru hurried back to his laboratory. His experiment had reached a critical moment, and Itachi's task was handed over to Tsunade. Although the mystery of the Mangekyo was intoxicating, a pair of Mangekyos was no longer Orochimaru's goal. Soon, the grand census of the ninja world began. The organizations under the umbrella took action one after another. Hello, fellow, we are doing a census. In order to distinguish your identity and for the stability of society, we need to register your information. Privacy. No, we just register basic information and issue you an ID. After that, you can enjoy the friendly treatment of the umbrella. The work of each family began to progress, and these strange behaviors also made the residents of the ninja world feel unprecedented novelty. Then, one ID card after another was delivered to them. Hee, this ID card looks really exquisite, and it looks like a real thing. With the issuance of ID cards, some people inexplicably have a sense of belonging. Old Dongtu, look at what this is. This is my ID card. See, it has my information on it. What is this? What? The ID issued by the umbrella, why don't I have it? No, I have to get one too. The old man's show-off behavior caused dissatisfaction with another old man. Ha ha ha, old man, this hasn't even reached your village yet. We need to go door to door. I guess we'll reach your village tomorrow. By the way, what about the red ideology? We'll be glorious subjects of the umbrella in the future. Such things happened quickly in all parts of the ninja world. Moreover, people with identity cards can enjoy a 10% discount in stores that sell umbrella, which makes some small countries eager to join the umbrella organization. Some people even secretly brought their families and joined the umbrella organization. This action soon attracted the attention of the Akatsuki organization and the Reikage Onoki and others. But they were helpless and could only watch other people's work go on. They were just ordinary people. Although their attention was attracted for a while, it was more important to solve the troubles of the umbrella at the moment. At this time, Obito was inexplicably uneasy. In the darkness, Obito's voice slowly came out. Uzumaki Zetsu. Notify Black Zetsu to bring Uchiha Madara's body here. Notify Nagato. Unite with Reikage and Tsuchikage, and start a war. The Moon Eye plan must be accelerated. It's time for a decisive battle. Chapter 289. Snow City, the inner streets of the Umbrella Station, have undergone tremendous changes. Half of the country's territory has changed from being covered with snow to being sunny, with sunshine, trees, and lush grass. The inner streets are full of vendors, and the pedestrians on the streets look greasy and energetic. From time to time, you can see cars passing by. Technology is constantly changing this country. On the street, in a barbecue restaurant, laughter came out. Naruto, time flies. I didn't expect that you have become a master who rules half of the ninja world now. Inuzuka Kiba said with emotion, and next to him were Ino Shikamaru and others. The original Konoha 12 strongmen reunited. Several people gathered around a grill. The fragrant barbecue looked appetizing, and Choji was eating madly. He didn't care about the conversations of the crowd, and only had barbecue in his eyes. Naruto also looked at the scene in front of him with emotion. Shikamaru and others looked different from before, including Inuzuka Kiba. Their strength had also improved a lot because of Naruto. Most of them were heirs of the family, and their strength was firmly at the elite level. Even Tenten began to develop in the mechanical field, and no one knew what she was hiding. Sakura and Ino worshipped Tsunade as their master, and their strength was incomparable. Hinata sat next to Naruto, looking at Naruto shyly. Tenten sat next to Neji. It was said that Neji and Tenten were very close recently, and Yakumo Lee and others were also here. Naruto, haven't Sasuke and the others come yet? At this time, Ino suddenly asked. Well, Sakura is performing surgery on Sasuke. Sakura said that the surgery is over, and it is estimated that they will arrive soon. Naruto put down his fork and said uncertainly. Uchiha Itachi's condition has improved, but it is difficult to get results from the research on his body. Orochimaru continues to return to the Sky Castle and continue to do research. It is said that it is a deep research on gravity. Uchiha Itachi's eyes were transplanted to Sasuke. Sasuke couldn't stand the gap with Naruto, so he couldn't wait to transplant Itachi's glasses, and Itachi was transplanted with a pair of ordinary 2 Magatama Sharingan. 3 Magatama are more precious, and Naruto's stock from Danzo is running out. Therefore, when facing Uchiha Itachi, the sinner, there is no need to transplant 2 good eyes, as long as the body is fine. The reason for transplanting 2 Magatama is to see if Uchiha Itachi can evolve the Sharingan again. Sakura, I heard that she has been working hard recently, but it's a pity that Tsunade's things are not suitable for me. Ino said faintly. Although she and Sakura worshipped Tsunade together, she only learned Tsunade's medical ninjutsu, and Tsunade's strange power is only suitable for Sakura. Ino, as long as you master your family secrets, you can try to develop them. Naruto said slowly. Ino's heart trembled slightly. Looking at Naruto's handsome face, her eyes dimmed. I'll give it a try. Don't refuse if you need my help. Ino smiled sweetly, and there was nothing wrong with her. No one present noticed anything wrong with Ino. Only Shikamaru, who was sitting opposite Ino, had a gleam in his eyes. Naruto is right. We can't rest on our laurels. I also have ideas about family ninjutsu, and I'm already thinking about it. Inuzuka Kiba laughed and looked extremely confident. Everyone smiled at each other. Under the pressure of the current ninja world, their strengths can be said to have improved in different ways. Everyone, I want to announce something here. At this time, Neji left his seat, walked up to the high platform in the center, and said loudly. Naruto booked the entire barbecue restaurant for this gathering. The owner wanted to do it for free, but Naruto insisted on paying for a day. Everyone looked at Ninki on the stage curiously, and then looked at Tiantian who was being pulled by Ninki, and suddenly understood something. Ninki was no longer the bird trapped in the cage. Now he is wanton and arrogant, full of confidence, full of youthful vigor, and the patriarch of the Umbrella Hyuga clan. I plan to propose to Tiantian in half a year, please be a witness. As soon as Ninki said this, Tiantian blushed immediately, her face full of shyness. Naruto and others are already 16 years old. In the ninja world, 16 years old is already an adult who can stand on their own, so getting married is naturally not a problem. There are even earlier ones. And Ninki and Tiantian are 17 years old, so there is no problem. Oh, such a happy event won't wait for me. At this time, a voice appeared, and everyone looked towards the door, only to see Sasuke and Sakura suddenly appear at the door, and Sasuke's eyes looked more vivid, and Sakura's face was full of smiles. Ha ha ha, sit down, Sasuke, how are you? Naruto stood up happily and placed Sasuke next to him, and on the other side was Hinata. Let me say one thing, it is not easy for us to get to this point now, and it is even more so for Neji. Since Neji and Tenten have this idea, let us bless them. Naruto stood up and said. Hinata blushed and secretly looked at Naruto, wondering what our wedding would be like. Hinata's heart was full of expectations. Ninki smiled at Naruto's words. It was Naruto who gave him hope and the opportunity to break free from the caged bird, and changed his fate. He was sincerely grateful to Naruto. Sasuke couldn't help but sigh as he watched this scene. He had avenged his great vengeance. He knew what Naruto's first words meant, and he secretly gave Naruto a thumbs up. Naruto also understood, which meant that Sasuke had successfully awakened the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. But it was not appropriate to talk about other things at a party. How can we not have some wine on this festive day? Xiaoli said loudly, and then he found a box of wine from somewhere. He opened a bottle and poured it into his mouth. Naruto and Sasuke were stunned at this time, and then they showed a look of surprise on their faces. When was the last time Xiaoli drank? It seemed to be the last time he destroyed a training ground. Just when Sasuke and Naruto wanted to stop Xiaoli from drinking, it was too late. Xiaoli had already started to stagger. Xiaoli's alcohol tolerance is not good, so soon. Inuzuka Kiba laughed and put his hand directly on Xiaoli's shoulder. Naruto and Sasuke couldn't help but smile strangely, and Naruto couldn't help but pat his forehead. Konoha whirlwind. Boom. Kiba Inuzuka was kicked out by Lee, and the tableware in the store was in a mess. Hey, Ninki, how can there be two of you? Lee staggered, and Kai's figure appeared in his eyes. Teacher Kai, let's have a youth contest. Konoha whirlwind. Boom. Choji got angry instantly because his barbecue was kicked out by Lee. Kiba Inuzuka and Choji immediately began to besiege Lee. Teacher Kakashi, do you also want to have a youth contest? Lee staggered, took another sip of wine, and started to play drunken boxing. Ha ha ha. This party ended with everyone's laughter. However, afterwards, Naruto compensated the boss for his losses at 10 times the price, which made the boss very happy. Chapter 290. Black Zetsu, have you done what I told you to do? A voice came from a dark space. Under the dim light of the darkness, Obito's figure appeared. At this time, Obito changed into a white Magatama mask that was exactly the same as in the original work. This was a special mask that was difficult to break. No problem. Black Zetsu showed half of his body, and the other half was still in the wall. After a while, there were only a few clicks, and the spacious underground cave was filled with wooden coffins. Bang bang bang. A few sounds appeared, and the coffin board fell, and dozens of corpses were placed in front of it. If these strong men in front of them were seen by others, it would probably cause an uproar. Because everyone present was once a famous ninja in the ninja world. In the front coffin, a handsome figure appeared, who looked extraordinary, but what shocked people was his eyes. It was actually a white eye. If Hyuga Hiyashi was here, he might find that the appearance of the young man in front of him is exactly the same as the picture of Hyuga ancestor Hyuga Tenin placed in the family ancestral hall. According to legend, Hyuga Tenin has the strength of no less than Madara Pillar. Not only that, there are many strong men of the Uchiha family around him, including the famous Warring States strongman, Uchiha Tajima. If Uchiha Madara saw this scene, I wonder if he would be so angry that he would come back from the Pure Land and give Obito a few big slaps. And the father of Senju Hashirama and Senju Tobarama, who have the same name, is also on the list. The shadows of various villages, even the third generation of Hokage, are on the list, and judging from his position, his strength is not even in the top 10. These are Obito's confidence. Of course, he can't do without the help of Black Zetsu. There are not so many strong people in the original work. That's because that was only the impure world reincarnation used by Kabuto Yakushi, and now it is Obito who uses the impure world reincarnation. Maybe Obito had such an idea when he got the impure world reincarnation technique from Danzo. He also improved the impure world reincarnation technique, which is no different from the impure world reincarnation in the original work. So many strong people appearing in the ninja world is absolutely shocking. Ha ha ha, with so many strong people, what can Uzumaki Naruto use to resist? The Moon Eye plan must not fail. Thanks to you this time, Black Zetsu. Obito's voice came from under the mask. The bodies of Uchiha Tajima and others and Hyuga Tenin and others were all provided by Black Zetsu. This is what I should do. Black Zetsu smiled slowly, and there was a sneer in his eyes that no one saw. Everything you do is making wedding clothes for me. Obito turned around and looked behind him, looking at the only unopened coffin. Suddenly, the coffin lid fell off, and a familiar figure appeared in front of Obito. It was Uchiha Madara. Obito couldn't help but touch his heart. Madara, watch, I will create a better world than yours. It is my Moon Eye plan, not your Moon Eye plan. Obito laughed wildly in his heart. Lin, wait for me, it's almost there. At this time, the land of rain. Nagato and Konan also received orders from Obito. They have returned from the land of snow. After all, Nagato is still needed to persuade people from the organization to rebel. After all, the leader has surrendered. How far will the members be? And they can also obtain information for Naruto. What they said to Obito was that he escaped from the umbrella using the reverse summoning technique of the animal path of the reincarnation eye. Although this statement has loopholes, Obito and Black Zetsu are just using Nagato. As long as the reincarnation eye is not lost, it will be fine. When the plan succeeds, Nagato's mission will be completed. At that time, no matter what tricks he has, Obito will not leave him alone. Nagato, the masked man is here to give orders. Konan said slowly. Masked man. Oh, Uchiha Obito, poor guy. Nagato was disdainful and snorted coldly, full of contempt. He didn't have a single good impression of this guy who killed his master. But what he didn't know was that he also took this path in the original book. But because of Naruto, everything is different. Convey the message to Naruto. Since Uchiha Obito dared to launch an all-round war, the means he prepared must not only be for us. Tell Naruto to be more careful. Nagato said slowly, his face full of solemnity. He thought of the members of the organization. Deidara pursued the art of explosion. Although it was stupid, there should be no problem in the strategy from this aspect. As for the others, Hiruhu joined after being defeated, and he was also an ambitious person. Just threaten him directly, and leave it to Naruto to deal with it later. As for Scorpion, it was Xiaonan who found the one who came as a talent. I heard that he was researching mechanized puppets before. Naruto should like him very much. Let's not talk about other people for now. As for Kisame, it was the masked man, brought by Uchiha Obito. There is no doubt that he is Uchiha Obito's man. After thinking for a while, Nagato felt that he could start the strategy based on the characteristics of each person. If it doesn't work, beat him up. If it doesn't work, beat him up twice. In addition to Nagato, Obito also asked Black Zetsu to send the plan to attack Umbrella to Reikage, Tsuchikage and others. Reikage looked at the letter in front of him with a serious face. Now he has completely calmed down after several beatings. Eight-Tails is still in the Umbrella organization. The last disastrous defeat is still vivid in his mind. Now he has become cautious and started to think about problems with his brain. The letter says that we should form an alliance with Onoki and Akatsuki to jointly attack the Umbrella organization. What do you think, Mabuyi? Reikage handed the letter to Mabuyi and said slowly. Mabuyi was not surprised by the recent performance of the Reikage. Perhaps it would not be a bad thing for him to suffer a little setback. The Reikage might be able to surpass the previous Reikages. Mabuyi slowly read the letter and then said, the letter said that the Akatsuki organization will provide 100,000 troops and a large number of high-level combat forces. I don't know if it is true. This is also what the Reikage is more suspicious of. The Akatsuki organization was just a mercenary organization before. Even if there are many S-level rebel ninjas, where did they get 100,000 combat forces, and almost all of them are Chunin strength. The most important thing is a large number of high-level combat forces. Only elite Jonin-level ninjas can be called high-level combat forces. And ordinary Jonin cannot be called high-level combat forces, they can only be called the backbone of the middle beam. They even have a lot of cage-level strongmen. With such power, I am afraid that there will be no problem in destroying the 5 major countries. Then what should we do about this matter? The Reikage said immediately. I think cooperating with the mysterious masked man is undoubtedly courting disaster. They are even more dangerous than the Umbrella Organization. No one knows what they are going to do. You know, they were capturing tailed beasts before, and now more than half of the tailed beasts are in the hands of the Akatsuki organization. And the purpose of the Umbrella Organization is very clear. They just want to unify the ninja world and eliminate all resistance. They are far less harmful than those people. So I suggest waiting and watching. Mabuyi said rationally. Bang. Reikage slapped the table, propped himself up and said, no, this is an opportunity for us to defeat Uzumaki Naruto. Let Umbrella develop for a while. When they have digested the territory, all the subjects of the Land of Thunder will feel that they are under the rule of Umbrella. At that time, it will be too late. I can't let the Hidden Cloud Village die in my hands. Alas. Mabuyi sighed in his heart. He knew that Uzumaki Naruto had become a demon in the heart of the Reikage. Even if he died, the Reikage did not want to die in the warm water-boiling frog of the Umbrella Organization. From what she knew, Umbrella treated civilians very well. They were right, but they were in different camps. Let's just leave it to fate and do our best. Mabuyi said nothing more and started to carry out the Reikage's orders. Chapter 291. In the invisible place, undercurrents are actually surging, and at this moment, Orochimaru is in a wonderful mood in the Umbrella Organization. In the Sky City, people coming and going are all in white coats, and there are also many ninjas and warriors protecting them. Orochimaru likes the atmosphere here very much, and this is simply a holy place for pursuing truth. At this moment, his experiment has reached a critical moment, and his experiment has finally broken through the bottleneck, so Orochimaru found Old Doyle. Old Doyle, let me use the Baichuan leaf. Orochimaru said politely. Although the old man in front of him has no chakra, he is the one who has promoted the technological progress of the ninja world. He has many disciples, and the people here respect him very much, even Orochimaru is not surprised. In terms of mechanical technology, Old Doyle's talent is much higher than his. What? What did you say? Old Doyle's eyes suddenly turned unfriendly, and he said coldly, you don't want Xiaoyi to accompany you to do some biological experiments, do you? Old Doyle looked at Orochimaru coldly. If Orochimaru dared to say yes, he would immediately blast Orochimaru out. Orochimaru smiled awkwardly and said, of course not, I am more interested in gravity recently, and I have studied it in depth. Now I need Baichuan-yi to help me do some small tests. Hearing Orochimaru say this, Old Doyle calmed down. He had heard of Orochimaru and knew some of Orochimaru's previous styles. If he didn't do any strange experiments, it would be fine. His talent is rare in the ninja world, but it's a pity that his way is a bit wild. It's good to be down to earth now. Although he knows that Orochimaru is unwilling to be lonely and pursues immortality, this is something that no one can avoid, even him. He is just older and has seen things more openly. He had closed the mountain at first, but was persuaded by Naruto. The undercurrents in the ninja world and even the outsiders shocked him. It can be said that Naruto used the righteousness to persuade him. At the same time, because of him, all his disciples were abducted here, except for some people with poor skills and those who were not invited. Naruto also treated these scientists very well. In this world where ninjas are respected, such a life is unimaginable for them. So they work here with peace of mind. The people here may seem inconspicuous, but there are actually many great people, such as the technology great who discovered electricity, the descendants of the founder of biological science, and mechanical experts. It is precisely because technology is not prominent now and not many people pay attention to the power of technology, so these people are easily recruited by Naruto. If it is not until 10 or 20 years later, technology will be taken seriously by people, and the technological process of the entire ninja world will directly achieve a leap, then it will be difficult to recruit them. I have already researched the application of repulsion and attraction. This time, I need the ability of the leaf to help verify it. Orochimaru said slowly. This surprised old Doyle. He didn't expect Orochimaru to do this. Your talent is really unparalleled. Old Doyle said with a little emotion, and then old Doyle said, why don't you be my disciple? I will teach you everything I know. You are joking, old Doyle. Your path is not suitable for me. Orochimaru smiled and just looked at old Doyle with a smile. Seeing this, old Doyle didn't say anything. In fact, as long as Naruto was there, Orochimaru didn't dare to do anything too much. Moreover, Naruto was a real genius and the most favored person by God that old Doyle had ever seen, because Naruto's learning speed was just like a god. At the beginning, Naruto used it for a period of time, and Naruto's attainments in mechanics reached old Doyle's level. Old Doyle once eagerly hoped that Naruto could inherit his mantle. Old Doyle hoped that Naruto could specialize in one field, but Naruto refused. In Naruto's words, the world needs me. Recalling everything that happened in the past, old Doyle seemed a little silent. Naruto was the kind of person who was born with leadership qualities. The changes he brought to the world were all seen by old Doyle, and he also knew what ninja meant. In this world, only the strong have the right to speak after all. Naruto wants to change the world. This is the reason why Naruto persuaded him at the beginning. Technology is all over the world, and people's lives are no longer just about food and clothing. Everyone has books to read, everyone is wise. Naruto wants to create a world where everyone is like a dragon. This shocked old Doyle at the time, and he was completely resigned. He was willing to drag his old body to train talents for Naruto. Coming back to his senses, old Doyle agreed to Orochimaru and turned away. There were related experiments waiting for him. Orochimaru happily found Baichuan-yi. Uncle Orochimaru, what do you need me to do? Baichuan-yi said curiously. In fact, Baichuan-yi was a little scared of Orochimaru, but after getting along with him for a long time, Baichuan-yi found that Orochimaru was no different from those scientific researchers. Some of them might be obsessed with scientific research. Although Baichuan-yi learned a lot of knowledge, he actually wanted to be a warrior, but Naruto said that he was not strong enough and would not let him go to the ninja world. Little Yi, I need you to help me do an experiment. A fiery light flashed in Orochimaru's eyes. This is a great experiment. Orochimaru smiled. Aren't you very interested in the ninja world? I'll take you to see it. Orochimaru narrowed his eyes and said that his experiment could not be carried out in the Sky City and had to go to the ninja world. Really, Uncle Orochimaru? Baichuan-yi seemed a little excited. He hadn't been to the ninja world for a long time and heard that it had changed a lot. Of course it's true, I've already told old Doyle. While Orochimaru was talking, he had already brought the things he needed to prepare. Let's go. Orochimaru brought Baichuan-yi to the teleportation array and teleported directly to the umbrella base. The people here didn't mind seeing Orochimaru, and those guarding around the teleportation array were all people who knew some secrets. People from the Sky City also came out from time to time, and they all knew. Soon, Shisui knew the news of Orochimaru's arrival. When he saw Baichuan-yi, his face changed slightly and said, Orochimaru, why did you bring Xiaoyi down? He is our baby. Don't worry, Shisui-kun, nothing will happen, I only need 3 days. Orochimaru explained what he needed to do. Shisui also calmed down and became interested in Orochimaru's experiment. Seeing Shisui's look, Orochimaru guessed what Shisui was thinking and immediately said, "Shisui-kun, are you interested in witnessing it? Then let's take a look. I'm also curious about Lord Orochimaru's masterpiece." Shisui smiled. According to Orochimaru, this experiment was inspired by Nagato. He also wanted to see what the experiment that Orochimaru also highly praised looked like. Chapter 292. The news that Orochimaru was going to conduct a mysterious experiment soon spread among their circle, and even Tsunade came. Naruto built a teleportation array in Konoha. Tsunade threw all the work to Shikaku during this period. She was very free and easy. She would start a project from time to time, and go to the casino to gamble when she was bored. She called it looking for inspiration. I don't know if she learned it from Jiraiya. Tsunade also stopped the research on Uchiha Itachi. The secret of the Mangekyo was not so easy to study, so she had taught Itachi to the Uchiha clan members a long time ago. Itachi's chakra was sealed, and his physical illness was almost cured by Tsunade, so they started the plan to revive Uchiha. Directly drug Uchiha Itachi and find a few women. Those women were all civilians in the ninja world. They were all volunteers. As long as they were pregnant with Uchiha Itachi's children, their families could live well. They could be said to have married into a wealthy family. Naturally, they were willing, and Uchiha Itachi was also very handsome, so they didn't lose anything. They were even very happy. This made Itachi miserable. He often wanted to commit suicide, but Sasuke calmed him down with one word. As long as he dared to commit suicide, Sasuke would go down to accompany him. Although he knew that this might be just Sasuke scaring him, he had a brother control heart and he didn't dare to gamble. I heard that she was pregnant with her third child recently. Many Uchiha guys were very happy and even found an old Chinese doctor to pack a few packets of medicine. In the name of revitalizing the Uchiha clan, this enthusiastic performance made Shisui's mouth twitch. With that enthusiastic performance, whose child is this? This made Shisui avoid Itachi even more. Itachi couldn't see Shisui even if he wanted to. Sasuke was also a little happy, thinking about what the Uchiha would look like in 20 years. Soon, several people from the top rushed over to watch Orochimaru's experiment. Orochimaru, what exactly did you research? Tsunade asked curiously. You'll know when you see it next. Orochimaru made a riddle. Soon, Orochimaru brought out his device, which was very small. He put it on his body and connected it to his hands, as if he could launch something from his hands. Orochimaru said to Baichuanye, "Little Yi, when you attack me, you must attack with all your strength, okay?" "Ah. Lord Orochimaru, will it hurt you?" Baichuanye was stunned and said. Tsunade chuckled and said, "Orochimaru, you seem to be underestimated." Orochimaru smiled, which made Baichuanye's heart skip a beat. "No way, Uncle Orochimaru is not angry." "Little Yi, come on, you won't hurt me," Orochimaru said, squinting his eyes. "Embarrassing me, you will be in trouble later." Orochimaru thought, but Baichuanye couldn't help but shudder. "Are you ready?" "Ready." "Very good." The two walked to an open space, and Orochimaru explained everything that needed to be explained. The purpose of this trip was to test the device developed by Orochimaru. Baichuanye looked at Orochimaru and couldn't help but laugh. He looked at Orochimaru's look and knew that Orochimaru must be dissatisfied with what he just said and wanted to take the opportunity to teach him a lesson. "But Uncle Orochimaru, I won't play by the rules." Baichuanye stared at the device on Orochimaru's body, looking at the thing emitting metallic luster, and couldn't help but smile. "You know, I am very familiar with metal." Orochimaru saw the smirk on Baichuanye's mouth, and the two of them smiled at each other like big and small foxes. Steel release, steel control. "Uncle Orochimaru, you know that steel is controlled by me," Baichuanye said loudly, and the people around him understood it instantly, especially the few people who knew Baichuanye's ability. Shirakawa Yi is the owner of Gundam Kekkei Genkei, and has the ability to control steel and can also make steel. This is one of the reasons why Shirakawa-yi is called a treasure by Shisui. Shirakawa-yi's ability is the same as Luasha's, which can produce abundant resources, but Luasha needs to pan for gold by himself, while Shirakawa-yi can produce steel by himself. Steel is widely used in the ninja world and is also the most common and important resource. Shirakawa-yi looked at Orochimaru, who was still unmoved, and a bad feeling rose in his heart. Then he heard Orochimaru say, "Little Yi, do you think I will make this common sense mistake? I have loaded a special magnetic field on this set of equipment to isolate your control over steel. In other words, you can only use the steel you make or other steel, but not my equipment." As soon as Orochimaru finished speaking, Baichuan-yi felt that his ability seemed to be really ineffective. This is good. Baichuan-yi is ready to cooperate with Orochimaru to see what Orochimaru is going to do. He is also a little curious. In an instant, he used his ability to create dozens of metal spears and pointed them at Orochimaru. At the same time, he condensed a steel armor to protect himself, which made everyone amazed. He is worthy of being the owner of the steel release bloodline limit. Such an ability, when it grows up, it will probably be a headache. Looking at the spear stabbing at him, Orochimaru stretched out his palm to the front. Everyone only felt a gust of wind, and then Baichuan-yi's metal spear flew out instantly, and was inserted crookedly not far away. Everyone was a little surprised, only Shisui showed a glimmer, as if he understood something. Baichuan-yi was a little surprised. Orochimaru seemed to have done nothing, just raised his hand, and his attack was knocked away. For a moment, he couldn't help but become curious. But the movement of his hands did not stop, and his training was not just that. Countless tiny things instantly hit Orochimaru, just like countless shurikens. Orochimaru stretched out his hand again, but this time he was not knocked away, but followed the direction of Orochimaru's gestures, and the attack instantly gathered into a ball and scattered to one side. What kind of ability is this? Everyone was a little surprised. It seems that there is no chakra fluctuation. Although Baichuan-yi was surprised, he was not idle. Two huge iron fists gathered and formed, and directly hit Orochimaru from both sides. If such an attack hit, Orochimaru might be smashed into a meat pie in an instant. Orochimaru opened his hand again, and he stood there without moving at all. Facing the attack, he just opened his hand gently. Tsunade was a little surprised. Orochimaru would not use his hands to resist, right? Soon, an amazing scene appeared. The two huge fists suddenly stopped in the air, as if something intercepted them. Then, Orochimaru exerted force, and the huge metal fist shot out to both sides in an instant. Shisui immediately understood that this was definitely that power. As expected of Lord Orochimaru, Shisui was full of admiration for a moment. Seeing Shisui's excitement, everyone looked at Shisui and asked what method Orochimaru used. Although Orochimaru told everyone to conduct an experiment, he didn't know as many details as Shisui. As someone who had fought with Nagato, Shisui deeply understood that kind of power. Lord Orochimaru seemed to have reproduced that kind of power. Chapter 293. Shisui seemed a little excited. It was definitely that kind of power. Looking at Lord Orochimaru's appearance, that kind of power seemed to be mass-produced. This was what Shisui was most excited about. At this time, Baichuan-yi's attack began again. The sky was full of small flying knives surrounding Orochimaru, as if to pierce Orochimaru from all directions. He himself had an extra sword in his hand, and one hand was covered with a huge metal armor. The sword was several meters long and huge, just like the Akamichi family performed a partial multiplication technique, which made people smack their lips. Is this the power of the steel release bloodline? It's simply a war machine. Countless attacks hit Orochimaru. Orochimaru waved his hands, and countless attacks were all bounced off, and there was no chakra fluctuation. Baichuan-yi seemed to have expected this scene a long time ago. He followed closely and slashed at Orochimaru with a knife. The scene was extremely terrifying. I'm afraid that most people would not dare to face the huge blade. Orochimaru stretched out his hand to Shirakawa Yi again. His resistance was only one action, that is, stretching out his hand, and there was no chakra fluctuation, which made everyone curious. And Shisui had a look of understanding. The two of them were instantly deadlocked together. At this time, everyone was not stupid. Orochimaru launched an invisible attack, but after holding on for a while, Orochimaru seemed to increase the force, and Shirakawa Yi was directly knocked out. At this moment, everyone gathered around. Shirakawa Yi was fine. He patted his butt and stood up. Except for the pain from the fall just now, nothing happened. Uncle Orochimaru, how did you do it? I didn't even notice your chakra fluctuation just now. Shirakawa Yi's question was also what Tsunade and others were curious about. At this time, Shisui came forward and said, Lord Orochimaru, you are using gravity to simulate the Shinra Tensei of Tendo Pain, right? I'm afraid there are still some abilities that have not been used. When Shisui said this, everyone was stunned and looked at Orochimaru, wanting to hear his explanation. Except for Shisui, everyone present didn't quite understand it, because Shisui had known a little bit. Orochimaru smiled, this is science. I'm afraid you don't understand. However, he explained it again, but he used scientific terms. Although Tsunade understood a little, she was still confused, not to mention the others. Tsunade immediately said, Orochimaru, speak human language. Okay, I'll say it again. Orochimaru spread his hands, looking a little proud, which made Tsunade want to beat him up. This device is a deep application of gravity. Based on the gravity formula, I developed the application of attraction and repulsion, and then developed this device, and it can be used to simulate Shinra Tensei and Wanxiang Tianyan. Moreover, it has a magnetic field, and I can even use it to create a gravity field. It's a pity that Xiaoyi's strength is a bit weak, otherwise, I can see its other abilities. After Orochimaru's simple explanation, everyone seemed to understand a little bit. Shisui has learned a little bit by analogy over the years. But in the middle part, he was like everyone else, as if he was listening to the will of heaven, but he also knew that Orochimaru made something very awesome. Lord Orochimaru, if I'm not mistaken, you should have simulated Nagato's ability to make this device. It's incredible, but I'm curious to what extent he can achieve. Shisui said slowly. He was considered to be more knowledgeable among the people present. Baichu and Yi also understood a little at this time, but the theory was really a little profound. He knew that Orochimaru used gravity technology, but he couldn't figure out how to do it. At this time, Orochimaru also came back from the surprise and said, indeed, but it also has a magnetic device, which is to prevent encountering people like Xiaoyi. At the same time, he is also the nemesis of metal. As long as the power does not exceed its upper limit, any metal attack will hardly work. It can use gravity and repulsion to achieve the attack effect of Nagato, but the ultimate is a weakened version. It can only reach the level of Cage, but this is already an incredible thing. In addition, the energy consumption of this device is not low. I borrowed the chakra in the chakra reactor as energy. If we use electricity, our technology cannot reach this level. Orochimaru's voice was slightly excited. How much does such a set of equipment cost? Shisui ignored Orochimaru's excitement and asked the question that concerned him most. If this set of equipment could be mass-produced, his side's combat power would probably increase by a lot less. At this time, Orochimaru suddenly shook his head and said, although it only takes a few million taels to make this set of equipment, energy is the most critical issue. The chakra energy I use has surpassed the scope of the general Cage level and is not suitable for large-scale assembly. Orochimaru said slowly, although the cost is very high, it is a huge breakthrough in Orochimaru's view. The ability of the Samsara Eye has been successfully simulated using the power of science. This is the most important thing. Although it only simulates part of the ability of the Samsara Eye, it is still a huge progress. Recent technology has slowly slowed down from the Big Bang stage. Cars, Airplanes, ships, and even gravity chambers are the result of the technological explosion in recent years, which is also due to Naruto's ideas. The technology of the ninja world can completely make the things Naruto said. Although the technology of the ninja world has gone astray, the industrial level can completely make these things. If the level of technology is to be divided into levels, Naruto has explained before that the civilization level is divided into agricultural civilization, which is still in a relatively backward period, and the state of the feudal class. After that, there was industrial civilization, productivity began to rise sharply, and mechanized production began to dominate. Then came information civilization, when computers came onto the stage of history and computing power was greatly improved. Due to geographical reasons, some ninjas were in agricultural civilization, with relatively backward productivity, and some people even asked ninjas to help with crop planting and harvesting. In some places, industrialization had already begun, and televisions and pagers were not uncommon, and some places even had simple computers. It can be said that the ninja world spanned these three stages. After information civilization, there was planetary civilization, which could perfectly utilize the resources of the planet, and productivity reached an incredible level. At this time, energy weapons were no longer legendary. After that, there was even stellar civilization, but Naruto did not tell Orochimaru and others about the subsequent stages. After all, he was not very clear. These were all Naruto's knowledge from his previous life, and it was still some of his extremely superficial understanding. This was a superficial insight that Naruto had come up with based on the classification of civilization levels in his previous life, but it benefited Orochimaru and the others a lot. To this, Naruto just smiled, because their vision limited Orochimaru and the others. Chapter 294. Because of the theories brought by Naruto, the technology of the ninja world began to be complete. In this world, no one has studied how to fly into the sky, so there are no airplanes and other things, but there are also people with wonderful ideas such as Air Ninja. Technology has slowly penetrated into the life of the ninja world, but because of the ninja, it seems not conspicuous. In fact, it has been subtly changing people's lifestyles, and the umbrella is to make full use of technology and let people pay attention to it. The daimyo of many countries, like the feudal monarchs, believe that the enlightenment of the people will affect their rule, but there are also some enlightened monarchs in the ninja world, such as Fenghua Xiaoshui's father, Fenghua Zhaoyuki. This is a person who advocates that technology brings happiness to the people. Unfortunately, his younger brother is ambitious. He wants to use technology to change the lives of the people of the snow country, while Fenghua Nudao only wants to use technology to become a ninja world. The combination of technology and chakra shows that the level of technology in the snow country is not bad. But chakra has to be said to be the mainstream of the ninja world and the easiest way for people to gain power. At the same time, it is also because of the influence of the Six Paths Sage Ninja sect, and how long has technology been in this land. In general, Orochimaru's experiment this time is still very eye-catching, allowing Zabuza and others to see the power of technology. If the previous technology made him see the convenience, then this time it made him see the height of technology. Technology is also a way to become stronger. But many people present still believe that chakra is the foundation, because even Orochimaru's device borrows the power of chakra. If it was Orochimaru in the past, he might think so. But when Orochimaru entered this field, he realized that chakra is not the only energy source, but they can't achieve it. At present, chakra is still the most important and most convenient energy source, and the most cost-effective energy source. And Baichuanyi also got his wish to stay in the umbrella for 3 days, and then took Baichuanyi back to the Sky City. After all, Baichuanyi also has a task to regularly replenish the steel needed for the experiment. And Orochimaru continued his own research. The entire umbrella is slowly changing, making efforts for the upcoming war, and the umbrella fighters have been updated for several generations, and now they can fully realize vertical takeoff and landing technology. At this time, Naruto also announced a message to everyone that he was going to retreat. He felt that barrier. But this takes time without distraction. He called all the high-level executives of Umbrella to where he lived. Naruto slowly scanned the surroundings, looking at the people sitting there, and couldn't help but smile with relief. These people are all his team. The power he has become a behemoth that is much stronger than Konoha in the past. After glancing at everyone's faces, Naruto slowly said, "Shisui, I have already felt that realm. Although my strength is already very strong, I can feel that the future war is very terrifying. With my current strength, I am likely to fail." Before Naruto finished speaking, everyone felt their hearts condensed instantly. How could this be possible? In everyone's mind, Naruto's strength has long been unfathomable. Even if the god of ninja is alive, he may not be able to defeat Naruto. Even Nagato, who has the Samsara Eye, was defeated by Naruto. What other enemies can make Naruto feel this way? Naruto knows what will appear in the future, a six-path level strongman. Although he already knows it, as a strong man, he has a sudden uneasiness, which indicates that he should break through as soon as possible. Indeed, if he is not at the six-path level, he will not be able to affect the direction of the war. The original is the original, and it cannot represent the present. Without the help of the Six Paths Sage, they will surely lose. But if he can break through to the realm of the Six Paths, then even if the Six Paths Sage does not take action, he can remain invincible. Don't be unbelievable, there are always higher mountains. During my retreat, Shisui hopes you will not be careless. Naruto looked around. Then he spoke again. You too, don't slack off during this period, the enemy will probably make a move soon. As Naruto spoke, everyone also felt a depressing atmosphere. Tsunade and others frowned, as if the other party had not made any moves for several months. Next, after Naruto explained some things, he announced that he would start retreat. They also knew that Naruto was probably going to enter another level that they could not understand. Even Tsunade was a little melancholy. He has seen a large part of Naruto's growth. Maybe Naruto can reach a height that his great-grandfather has not reached. On the other side, Sasuke clenched his fists tightly, and at this time a voice came. "Sasuke, where are you going?" Sasuke turned his head and saw Shaoli, Neji and Kurama Yakumo looking at him with a smile. "I'm going to practice." He said very little, but showed Sasuke's determination. Although he awakened the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, he was still far behind Naruto. "Ha ha ha, youth cannot be slack, let's set sail together." It was rare that several people did not laugh at Shaoli, but they felt that what Shaoli said seemed to be right. Several people smiled at each other, as if they had returned to the scene of practicing in Konoha. In the afterglow of the setting sun, the shadows of several people were stretched very long. As Naruto's meeting ended, everyone felt a sense of pressure. Might Guy and others also got the news. "Kakashi, have you really decided?" "Yes, Akashi, I have decided to carry forward the Hitaki swordsmanship. My father must be very pleased." Kakashi said lightly. His strength has fallen into a bottleneck. Compared with Sasuke, lightning release is more suitable for Sasuke. After he regained the Hitaki swordsmanship, he felt more and more that the Hitaki swordsmanship was profound. Perhaps his Hitaki swordsmanship could surpass his father. After learning about the higher realm of swordsmanship from Shisui, he also wanted to try to see how far the Hitaki swordsmanship could reach, so he chose to go to the Iron Country to study swordsmanship and learn the complete swordsmanship concept. "Ha ha ha, Kakashi, how about we have another duel after you come back?" Might Guy stretched out his fist, and Kakashi also collided his fist with Akashi. Kakashi smiled. As a close friend of Might Guy, I am afraid that he is the only one who knows how far Might Guy has reached except Shaoli. Without anyone knowing, Might Guy has practiced martial arts to the point of generating supernatural powers. He is the third person after Naruto and Tsunade. Lee has not yet reached the point of generating supernatural powers due to insufficient accumulation. And Might Guy's martial arts supernatural power is called Steel Bones. Very suitable for Akai. Can easily withstand the 7th gate of the 8 gates of ninjutsu and greatly reduce the side effects of the 8 gates of ninjutsu. Chapter 295. Who? Under the setting sun, the whole place was dyed red. On a training ground, a man was constantly practicing swordsmanship, with beads of sweat running down his cheeks. Shisui put away his sword, took out a handkerchief from his space ring, and wiped it casually. Since Naruto began to retreat, Shisui began such training, and continued to train until the sun was about to set. At night, he dealt with affairs. At this time, a young man came up and handed over something that looked like a memorial. I won't read it today. Come with me, Aoki. Shisui said slowly, with a pair of bright eyes on his tired face emitting the light of wisdom. An invisible majesty emanated from Shisui. The man in front of Shisui was named Sagawa Aoki. Because of his delicate personality and good talent, he was chosen by Shisui as a secretary. He was similar to Chojuro, and his talent was even more outstanding. Aoki was selected by the umbrella and stood out from the crowd. His personality and ability are beyond doubt. Okay, Master Shisui. Aoki said respectfully. Although Aoki, dressed in a green shirt, looked immature, he was very handsome and talented. Now he is only 15 years old and is already a senior ninja. His natural leadership skills made Shisui admire him. The most important thing is that Aoki has a clean background and rose from humble beginnings. He can best understand what the umbrella has brought to the ninja world. Aoki, I've said it before, don't be so serious. If you can call me Brother Shisui. Shisui was a little helpless, but he was very satisfied with the boy in front of him. Master Shisui, you said that a leader should not show his emotions, and should have his own majesty in front of his subordinates, so that people can be convinced. Aoki said respectfully. His face did not change at all, but his eyes still revealed a trace of excitement and joy. He was very happy to be recognized by Shisui. After all, he was a boy. Shisui saw the joy in the boy's eyes, smiled, said nothing more, and continued to move forward. Aoki stopped talking and followed Shisui closely, with a look of admiration in his eyes. I will definitely become a great man like Master Shisui, and carry forward the red thought. Become a helper for Master Naruto. In the umbrella, everyone wants to be a person like Shisui, but Naruto has been a myth. No one thinks that they can reach Naruto's height. Now Naruto has become a pillar and a belief. As time passed, Shisui has walked a long way, walked out of the core area of the Snow City, and came to the countryside. In the afterglow of the setting sun, you can still see sparse crowds of people cultivating the fields. The roar of the machine sounded. Now farmers no longer use livestock to cultivate as before, nor do they hire ninjas to cultivate, but use machinery. In the past, not everyone could afford to hire ninjas. Only those landlords with large tracts of land had this ability, or they were wealthy families with a rich life. And those farmers with only a few fields, in addition to ensuring their own needs, also need to pay taxes. But now it is different. As Naruto conquered the 5 major countries, the first thing he cleared was the nobles, and then the fields were distributed to civilians. With the emergence of high-yield grains, taxes are much lower than before. The ninja world is undergoing earth-shaking changes every day. Schools have been built and roads have become well-maintained. In the past, ninjas relied on tasks to make a living, but now ninjas can earn a lot of money by building roads and infrastructure. Because a ninja can often repair a road for dozens of meters with one ninjutsu, which is extremely terrifying in Naruto's previous life. A ninja can even repair several kilometers of road in a day. It is precisely because of their abilities that they are not short of money. But Naruto has set some ninjutsu to be exchanged for money. In addition to precious ninjutsu that require points, many ordinary ninjutsu are basically open to the ninjas below. Although ninjas make money quickly, they spend money even faster. Buying a house requires money, and buying a car requires money. Buying weapons requires money, and do you want to live in a reinforced concrete house? Then make money quickly. The low houses in the past were built into high-rise buildings by Naruto. Not only did he save land, but he also earned a lot of money. Naruto is the largest real estate developer in the ninja world. However, due to the particularity of the ninja world, houses have corresponding barriers to prevent being disturbed. Of course, such houses are more expensive. In Naruto's view, only the circulation of money can promote economic prosperity. It can be said that the current ninjas have become much stronger, and because of this, the research on ninjutsu has become more prosperous. Some people even specialize in new ninjutsu and combined ninjutsu to exchange for points and money. Shisui slowly looked at the scene around him and couldn't help but smile happily. In the past, most people engaged in agriculture in the ninja world were pale and thin, but now they are shiny and their spirits are different. This makes Shisui very satisfied. I used to think that peace is peace without war, but in many invisible corners, there are still many unfortunate things happening. This is the real peace. Shisui said with emotion. Yes, Lord Shisui, I used to think that as long as I could have a full stomach, it would be a very happy thing, but after joining the organization, I know what happiness looks like. It is you and Lord Naruto who brought hope and salvation to this world. Aoki also said with emotion. He knew better than Shisui what the world was like before. He was just a commoner, worrying about having enough to eat, and his parents were most afraid of wars between ninjas. He didn't understand it when he was a child, but when he was 8 or 9 years old, he could already see the cruelty of the ninja world. Ordinary people are the saddest, and Umbrella changed all that. Lord Naruto brought new ideas and new technologies, allowing him to join the school and stand out from it. He also protected the common people under his command from robbers and wandering ninjas. Even if I risk my life, I will protect all this. Shisui looked at the beautiful mountains and rivers and said calmly, but his determination was unquestionable. Lord Shisui, I will also protect all this, betting my glory and my life. In places farther away from Shisui, changes are happening every moment, high-rise buildings are being built, and flat roads are appearing. And the smiles of the people in the ninja world are increasing. Chapter 296. Many small countries have already begun to surrender to the Umbrella in the territory ruled by the Umbrella, and even the national capital has been changed into the capital. Some kings have even started to give up and become rich, because it is tiring to govern the country and manage the civilians, and they have to kowtow to a ninja. I have had enough of such days. After giving up the country, I have lived a life that I never dared to imagine before. And some kings who were reluctant to give up their former life of drunkenness and dreams were liquidated and publicly sentenced according to the degree of evil. In the ninja world, the daimyo of small countries do not have much status, especially those countries without ninja villages. At this moment, the Umbrella Station. Shisui finished his daily training, but got good news at this time. Looking at the smiling man in front of him, Shisui took a sip of water and said with a smile, what's the good news? Is your wife giving birth? Go to hell, you are so disrespectful. How long have I been together with Ayako? Uchiha Yu rolled his eyes at Shisui. His original wife also died on the night of the extermination. He had no idea of looking for a woman before, but a woman changed him, that is, Ayako. The appearance of Ayako made you think about marrying again. Ayako's original name was Eri Ayako. You met her in the hospital. After a period of getting along, the two developed feelings. After marrying him, she changed her name to Uchiha Ayako. This is the tradition of Uchiha. After marrying into the Uchiha family, women will change their names to the man's surname. Or most families are like this, which is not surprising in the ninja world. Okay, stop laughing. I'm here to tell you a good thing this time. Yu waved his hand and said slowly, with a bit of joy on his face. You and the other guys have successfully awakened their Mangekyo Sharingan. As Yu spoke, Shisui's face also showed a look of joy. Oh, how many people have awakened their Mangekyo Sharingan? Shisui asked with shining eyes. Uchiha Yu, Uchiha Misori, and Uchiha Ken. Only 3 people. Shisui was a little disappointed. After all, the Uchiha now is different from the Uchiha in the past. They must have all been injected with Hashirama's cells. There are only 3 people among more than a dozen genius boys. Shisui is still quite disappointed. What's that expression on your face? Although they have some talent, they are not perverts like you and Itachi. Now there are 3 of them, which is already very remarkable. But what should be said is that Senju and Uchiha may really have the same ancestor. After they injected Hashirama's cells, the side effects of the Mangekyo Sharingan were reduced a lot. In Orochimaru's words, it means that part of the genes have been completed. I don't understand this, but 3 pairs of Mangekyo Sharingan. This is all the glory of Uchiha. There weren't so many Mangekyos when Uchiha was at its most prosperous. You looked very happy. Yes, in Shisui's opinion, they enjoyed so many resources, and the difficulty of opening the eyes was greatly reduced. There shouldn't be only so few people, but those Uchiha are indeed not genius monsters like Shisui and Itachi. They may be called geniuses, but geniuses are also divided into different levels. With 3 more pairs of Mangekyo, our strength has increased. Although Shisui was a little disappointed, he was still relieved. Uchiha was no longer the Uchiha in Konoha. Tsunade and Orochimaru were reminiscing in a tavern. They chatted for a long time. Tsunade looked at Orochimaru, who was wearing casual clothes, with emotion. Orochimaru, I can hardly imagine that there is still a day when we can sit together and drink so peacefully. Just shook the bottle, it was empty again. Waiter, give me 2 more bottles of wine. No, just a box. Tsunade's voice echoed in the tavern. There were few people here, because it was very expensive. It was specially used to entertain some special talents and those who were not short of money. Besides Orochimaru, there was only 1 table of people here. They looked at Tsunade calmly, but they also knew the identities of Tsunade and the others. It was not surprising. Tsunade had been here many times. After a look, he continued to drink. I never thought that this day would come. Maybe the times have changed. Orochimaru said calmly, just drinking quietly and watching the people coming and going in Kawagai. He, Orochimaru, will live in the sunshine one day. By the way, where is that idiot Jiraiya? Orochimaru seemed to remember something, put down the wine glass, and asked slowly. Tsunade seemed to be a little drunk, and said with a ruddy face, I heard that idiot Jiraiya wrote a book recently, saying that go to the ninja world to find inspiration. That book seems to be called Child of Destiny. Tsunade filled the wine that the waiter had just brought, and drank it all in 1 gulp. Her face looked even more rosy, and her delicate face was a little flushed. That idiot is so free. Ha! Orochimaru smiled, and it seemed that I had changed too, I don't know when. Tisk, let's not talk about that guy would write some crappy books. Drink. Just now, he slapped the table and said, as if he was already drunk. You really care about that idiot? Orochimaru's mouth corners slightly raised, and he said slowly. Tisk, how is it possible that I would care about that guy? Tsunade was still drinking. After an unknown amount of time, Tsunade staggered out of the tavern, holding a pot of wine in her hand, and said goodbye to Orochimaru. When she returned to her room in Umbrella, Shizune came up to her in a hurry and said worriedly, Tsunade-sama, why are you so drunk? Quote. Shizune frowned. Tsunade hadn't drunk like this for a long time. Shizune, I'm happy. It seems like I've returned to that time. Shizune looked at Tsunade lying on the table with a helpless look on her face. She carried Tsunade to the bed, helped Tsunade change her clothes, and then closed the door and left the room. Shizune looked at Tsunade a little helplessly, as if she was looking at a grown-up girl. She knew that Tsunade was happy, not getting drunk like before. Jiraiya didn't know that Tsunade and Orochimaru were talking about him yet. He was still walking in the ninja world, and Jiraiya's book, Child of Destiny, was sold out in the ninja world. He wrote the scenes he saw into the book, which resonated with people, especially the protagonist template was still Naruto. This is simply another Naruto-sama. Thank you Naruto-sama for everything you have done for us. Quote. This book is so well written. It turns out that Naruto-sama was also a slacker when he was young. It turns out that Naruto-sama is what he is today because he took Jiraiya-sama as his teacher. Jiraiya-sama is really amazing. He actually taught such a great person like Naruto-sama. I want to buy a copy for my son. I believe that as long as he works hard, he will always succeed. Whether I can live in a villa in the future depends on that kid. This book of Jiraiya is no less than the Intimate Paradise series. It is even more famous than the Intimate Paradise because of its wider readership, and it has even inspired many people. Jiraiya has officially become a great writer in the ninja world because of this book. Chapter 297. The sky of the Rain Country is filled with sorrow and grief. Nagato looked at the continuous drizzle outside the window, and the atmosphere of dusk enveloped the entire Rain Country and the entire hidden Rain Village. However, in Nagato's perception, he could also see the residents' praise for Pain and the angel Konan. The Rain Country has been closed for a long time, and because of Nagato's ninjutsu, umbrella rarely involves here. This also led to the lack of knowledge of the outside world among the villagers of the hidden Rain Village. The industry of the Rain Country is actually not bad. Compared with the constant wars in the past, such a life is already good. Nagato may have felt that without war, such a life might be good. But when the umbrella team was there, Nagato felt that the dusk was filling the entire Rain Country and the drizzle was shrouded. This was because Nagato's Rain Tiger Freedom technique could monitor the entire hidden Rain Village. However, it can be sunny from time to time, and it is not shrouded in rain all day long. If there was no Naruto, such a life might still be possible. Now, Nagato's mind has changed dramatically. The life of the Umbrella residents is a truly happy and peaceful life. Children go to school, so they don't have to worry about the enemy because they have powerful warriors. They don't have to worry too much about life. As long as they have money, food and clothes will not be too bad. As long as they work hard, the residents of the Umbrella Station are more than 10 times happier than the civilians in the ninja world. Is this the real peace? Nagato murmured, and his hands quietly formed seals. The rain slowly faded away, and the sun covered the land again. In Nagato's observation, most of the residents of the Rain Country smiled. After all, no one likes to live in the rain every day. What's going on? Why did Lord Pain suddenly withdraw his ninjutsu? Isn't it time for the sun to clear up yet? Maybe it's the welfare given to us by Lord Pain and Lord Angel. Ha ha ha, the sun is still comfortable. It feels so good. The sparse voice came into Nagato's ears, and Nagato's stiff face also showed a smile. Konan, Konan. Nagato suddenly called out twice. Swish, swish, swish. At this time, the sound of paper fluttering appeared. Nagato turned his head and saw that pieces of paper entered Nagato's house through the window and turned into a human figure. With fair skin, youthful beauty, and the appearance of a ripe peach, the graceful Konan appeared in front of Nagato. Even a black dress with red clouds could not cover Konan's beautiful body. What's the matter, Nagato? Konan spoke slowly, with a cold tone, showing the image of a cold queen to the fullest. Konan, from now on, the Yuhu freedom technique will no longer be used in the village. It may be good to put it outside the village. Nagato walked to the window, and the sun shone on Nagato's body, which made Nagato, who had lived in the shade for a long time, feel warm in his heart. In the world of ninjas, windows are dangerous because you don't know when you will be assassinated. Windows are often a favorite place for assassins. Ninjas are used to darkness and keep company with darkness. Blood and life are the music that accompanies ninjas. The ninja era, maybe it should end. Konan also heard Nagato's whispers, and couldn't help but sigh that the former partners had really changed, just like a little more sunshine in the darkness. If you are outside the village, I'm afraid it will increase your burden. Konan spoke slowly. Performing the Rain Tiger Free technique outside the village will not only increase the chakra of the ninjutsu, but also weaken Nagato's control over the ninjutsu. It's okay, just send a Pain outside the village. But, one less Pain. Conan said a little worriedly, with hesitation on his face. No one can defeat me in the Hidden Rain Village. If there is, then come and try. Nagato's pair of reincarnation eyes also revealed an unparalleled momentum. Even though he has changed, his mentality over the years is not so easy to change. Okay, then I will announce it. Just as Conan was about to leave, she was stopped by Nagato, who slowly said, "Who do you think is more suitable in the organization?" Conan slowly stopped, and a pair of beautiful feet slowly stood up. The long robe of the Akatsuki organization did not cover Conan's beautiful feet, and the pink nail polish could be vaguely seen. Conan knew what Nagato was talking about, and immediately said, "Deidara is easier to start with. Obiru is a scientific research madman similar to Orochimaru, with a complicated mind. I don't know what Scorpion is doing, and he is mysterious. Not to mention the others, Deidara is relatively simple, and it should be no big problem to start with his preferences." Nagato nodded. What Conan said was similar to what he knew. "Then let's talk to Deidara in a few days." The reason why I want to talk to him in a few days is that Nagato wants to find a reason to convince Deidara. A few days passed quickly, and Nagato also got something that could convince Deidara. "Chief, what do you want to talk to me about?" Deidara looked at the Tendo Pain sitting in front of him. The corpse created by Tendo Pain was Yahiko's corpse. He looked very handsome, but very cold and oppressive. "Deidara, what do you think real art is?" Pain said calmly, and it seemed to be a very ordinary question. "Art. Art is of course explosion. The brilliance and beauty of the moment are an extremely beautiful art." Brother Scorpion also said that eternity is art. How can the art of puppet dolls compare to my art? Speaking of the field he is good at, Deidara seemed to have opened a box of chatterboxes and kept talking. "Oh, really? I also think explosion is art," Pain said slowly. Deidara immediately became excited and said excitedly, "Chief, do you also think that explosion is art?" Deidara clenched his fists tightly as if he had been recognized. Pain did not wait for Deidara to continue to be happy, and continued in a slightly majestic voice. "But, I think your explosion art does not seem to be the real explosion art. There are many arts stronger than yours." This sentence directly made Deidara anxious, and he hurriedly said, "Chief, even if you are powerful, you can't insult my art. How can there be anyone in this ninja world who is more powerful than my explosion art?" Deidara's eyes turned red instantly. It was hard to imagine that just one sentence made Deidara become like this. "Then Deidara, do you know what mushroom eggs are?" Pain's voice came slowly. Deidara was stunned. "Mushroom eggs? What is that? Eggs that look like mushrooms. Mushroom eggs. Are they delicious?" Deidara couldn't help asking, and Pain was embarrassed and a little speechless. The scene was a little silent for a while. Chapter 298. The scene froze for a moment. Pain looked at Deidara. After a moment, Pain took something out of his body. Deidara couldn't help but stretch his head to look, and saw a square iron-like object in Pain's hand. After a while, the strange iron block lit up, which scared Deidara. How could this thing glow? Just when Deidara was curious, Pain spoke up and said, "Since you think no one can surpass your art, then I will let you see it today." After that, he waved his hand and asked Deidara to come over. Deidara came forward curiously. He really wanted to see who could surpass his art. If someone could surpass his art, he would have no problem eating the moon. Pain operated the mobile phone unfamiliarly. Yes, this thing was what he got from the umbrella. This is the magic weapon that makes Deidara return to his heart. Soon, under the operation of Pain, a scene that shocked Deidara appeared. A picture appeared on the strange iron box. On the vast land, it looked similar to the environment of the Wind Country. I saw a strange thing launched out, and in his puzzled eyes, a terrifying scene appeared. Boom! I saw the desert rumbled instantly, thunder and fire flashed, and huge smoke and dust rushed into the sky. The land of dozens of miles around instantly burst into huge smoke and dust, and the fire and dust that rushed into the sky looked like a huge mushroom. Deidara opened his mouth in an instant, his expression became frozen, and his body trembled slightly. What he had just thought in his mind had long been thrown behind his mind. Pain looked at Deidara's appearance and couldn't help but feel proud. You know, when he saw this scene just now, he was also shocked. This power of destroying the world, even his super god Ra Tensai couldn't do it. First. Leader. Deidara said with trembling teeth, in disbelief, and pointed at the small box of iron that looked strange to him and said, "Is this the mushroom bomb you mentioned?" While speaking, his eyes became dazzling, and he knelt down in front of Pain with a sliding step, holding Pain tightly. "Leader, this is simply an incomparable art, the shining fire is so beautiful. Whose masterpiece is this? Is this the mushroom bomb you mentioned, leader?" At this time, Deidara understood that when this thing exploded, it was like a mushroom, no wonder it was called a mushroom bomb. Deidara's heart was still trembling, but he was also very excited. Pain couldn't help but smile when he saw this scene. He knew that the so-called art of explosion was more important than life in Deidara's heart, and the matter was half successful. "Deidara, are you convinced now?" Pain pretended to be calm, but he was actually a little bit upset, even though it was the second time he saw this thing. What he didn't know was that the video in front of him was made, not real. In the current ninja world, Naruto didn't plan to make it now. If it was stolen by someone by accident, it would be like shooting himself in the foot. Mushroom bombs can only deal with super shadow level strongmen at most, and even Orochimaru, who has a strong ability to save his life, may not be able to kill him, but this thing is simply a magical weapon for ordinary ninjas. If this kind of thing breaks out in the ninja world, it will be too destructive to people and the environment. In Naruto's view, the ninja world is already his base camp. To resist foreign aggression, he must first stabilize the internal affairs, not to mention that the enemy he is worried about has not appeared yet. "Chief, I hope to learn how to make mushroom bombs from this senior. I am willing to do anything you ask me to do." In Deidara's view, if he can learn this art, he will be satisfied even if he dies. Art is a mushroom bomb. "Deidara, are you sure you've made up your mind? Are you willing to do anything I ask you to do?" Pain said in a low voice, and the tone made Deidara startled, and his heart skipped a beat. He saw the leader's fiery eyes. Could it be that the leader was gay? Now Deidara hesitated. Was it for art, or to preserve himself? Soon, Deidara made a decision. The body is just a shell, only art is everything. Looking at Deidara's thinking, Pain also knew that Deidara was making a decision, but he never thought what Deidara was thinking, otherwise he might directly give Deidara a Shinra Tensai. "Leader, will this be unfair to the White Tiger?" Deidara glanced at Conan with a little look, and the meaning couldn't be more obvious. This made Pain, who was controlled by Nagato, a little confused. Just even Conan was stunned. What does this have to do with her? The two were not stupid people. They soon understood something from Deidara's meaningful eyes. Paper floated out of Conan's body, and Nagato's eyes gradually became sharper. Shinra Tensai. Shiki paper dance. Ah! Soon, a series of screams rang out, and a moment later, a bruised Deidara appeared in front of the two. Deidara realized that the leader did not mean that, but he was also glad that his innocence would be preserved. After a while, Deidara knew what Pain said to him. What? Deidara became incredible in an instant. "We are ready to fight to the death. Why did the leader surrender?" This thing was actually developed by the Umbrella Organization, and the leader turned to the Umbrella Organization without knowing when. "Just what you think. Why did you join the organization? Is it really for peace? Or for art?" "I have found peace. Since my goal has been achieved, what about your art?" After a paragraph of Pain's words, Deidara became silent. "It seems that there is nothing wrong. The organization is still the same organization, but the boss has changed. It's no big deal. He even saw unparalleled art. After some self-hypnosis, Deidara successfully convinced himself and chose to follow his heart. After all, the leader said such a big thing. If he didn't agree, would he still be able to see the sun tomorrow? Of course, the video that Pain took out accounted for a large part of the reason. Leader, I choose to join. Very good. Pain smiled with satisfaction. It was not difficult to take down Deidara. But through this incident, Nagato also knew how powerful the power of the umbrella was. Even if the 10 tails was really created, could it withstand the mushroom bomb? In the end, Nagato didn't know. But he knew very well that the dawn of peace was beckoning him, and Naruto had also told him that his former partner, Yahiko, might be able to be resurrected in the future and successfully witness the arrival of peace. Chapter 299. The environment of the ninja world is calm and peaceful. To ordinary people, it is peaceful now, but to those who are interested, it is undercurrent. The Wind Country Umbrella Base. Today, a talkative young man was welcomed. Xiao Di, why are you so talkative? We agreed to watch and learn more. A middle-aged man who looks about 40 years old said, wearing a gray work suit with a lot of dust on his body and a yellow plastic hat on his head. He was scolding the young man in front of him. He was not a ninja, but the second in command of the entire base. Yesterday, the organization sent a message saying that a talented young man came from the headquarters, and it was the young man in front of him who was curious about everything. The young man in front of him who was curious about everything was Deidara. He was persuaded by Nagato before, and soon he couldn't help wanting to learn mushroom bombs. Now he took off the Akatsuki robe and even changed his hairstyle. There are many ninjas in this base, but basically no one knows Deidara. Even if they know Deidara, they can't connect with the current Deidara. Uncle Harada, when can I learn mushroom bombs? Deidara asked eagerly, his face full of enthusiasm. Uncle Harada looked at the man in front of him who was younger than his son, and said slowly, Xiao Di. People of your age don't want to become ninjas or warriors. Isn't it good to be in the headquarters? Why do you have to suffer in this place where there is no shit? Uncle Harada said earnestly. He knew that Deidara was a ninja and very powerful, but he couldn't understand why such a powerful person like Deidara didn't shine in other places and came here. This is just the blasting department. Usually, they study blasting, which is very boring. Few young people are willing to stay. As for the mushroom bomb that Deidara mentioned, Harada also knew it. In the next few years, they will study that, and it is still in theory. But what Deidara said next surprised Harada. Uncle Harada, how can studying art be boring? Deidara said enthusiastically. He liked this place very much. There were many people studying art here. With so many like-minded people, he thought it was a holy place for art. Although it was only one day, he also learned something that could enhance his ability. But what he wanted to learn most was mushroom bombs. He asked many people, but no one told him. As a last resort, he had to find the person in charge here, Uncle Harada. The top leader here was responsible for the administrative affairs of the base, and Harada was in charge of the technical aspects. Oh, do you think this is an art? Uncle Harada was a little surprised. Even he didn't have this awareness. He could see that the young man in front of him liked this industry from the bottom of his heart. Or simply liked explosions. For a moment, he seemed to understand why the organization put this young man here. He was indeed a talented young man. But the ideological aspect still needs to be strengthened. Xiao Di, the road is one step at a time. It is impossible to learn to make mushroom bombs immediately. You should learn from me in the future. Harada also looked at Deidara with satisfaction. He thought Deidara could inherit his mantle. Their department is no worse than mechanical manufacturing. Maybe he can introduce Xiao Di to old friends next time. When was the last time you drank? Soon, Deidara's painful and happy life began soon. Everything here made him feel novel and painful. He seemed to have returned to the time when he had just learned explosive ninjutsu. Xiaodi, you need to start from the basics, so you can go further. Harada was teaching Deidara the basics of explosives, but Deidara had already learned these, and relying on chakra, Deidara could even make stronger bombs. But at this time, he was scolded and taught by Harada. Xiaodi, I can see that you like this industry very much, and you have also learned a lot about this aspect. I have to say that ninjas are indeed a group of people that cannot be ignored, and chakra is indeed a kind of energy that can turn decay into magic. But here, you can't rely on chakra. I don't understand chakra, but I also know that there is a mutual restraint relationship between chakras. This knowledge is profound and extensive. You need to lay a good foundation to go further, understand? Harada looked at Deidara patiently. The young man in front of him was very talented, but he was influenced too much by ninjas. If he could finally integrate his knowledge into chakra, he might be able to achieve what he couldn't achieve. To the extent of. It is possible that he can even open up a school, but before reaching a certain height, over-reliance on chakra is not good. Deidara nodded, not quite understanding. Very good, Xiaodi, next I will show you the project we jointly developed with another department, the West Wind Express project. Let you see, without chakra, we can achieve the level. Harada said confidently. Deidara listened to Harada's words, and it was another strange name like the mushroom bomb, West Wind Express. Who cares, let's go and see it. After a few days of teaching, he found many shortcomings, and at the same time he knew that the mushroom bomb was not something he could get in touch with in a short time, but other knowledge had already made him interested, and he regained the feeling of studying and practicing hard. His clay bomb would be ineffective because of the thunder escape, and the things made here, the thunder escape would only make the art more powerful. Although he has not seen any stronger means than him yet, these new knowledge have enabled him to draw inferences from one instance to another, and now, there is a project that sounds very huge in front of him. It is obviously not easy to make Uncle Harada care so much. Here he found that the more strange the name, the more difficult it may be. I still have to thank the leader. Without the leader, he would not be here today. Deidara followed Harada out of the building. The environment here is relatively harsh, but there was a period of time when they could go to the oasis for vacation, and the expenses were reimbursed by the organization. After walking through the long streets, Harada gathered some people and finally stopped on a helipad. Soon he arrived and boarded the plane out of curiosity. He often went to the sky, but this was the first time he took a plane. It was so stable and comfortable. On the plane, looking out the window, the desert gradually decreased. From time to time, a touch of green could be seen on the ground in the high sky. That was the oasis. Not long after, they arrived at a small town with few people, but a lot of defense. In Deidara's perception, there were quite a few senior ninjas. It seems that this place is not simple, and Deidara is more looking forward to the next trip. This is a small town built on the mountain, not like the residence of ordinary residents. At a glance, you can see many people wearing white and gray clothes. Xiaodi, let's go, I'll take you to see an old friend. Harada seemed a little excited, pulled Deidara, and walked towards a building in the envious eyes of his colleagues. When he walked into the building, Deidara was stunned. Why did that figure look familiar? It seemed to be Brother Scorpion. Chapter 300. As several people walked in, several eyes looked here with sharp eyes. A middle-aged man who looked a little dignified looked over immediately. When he saw that it was Harada, he showed a look of surprise. After putting down the drawings in his hand, he walked straight to Harada. The two hugged each other tightly. It seemed that they had a close relationship. They laughed. The middle-aged man who looked a little dignified was wearing gray-blue clothes. His hair was sparse, and there were some white hairs in the black, but his eyes looked particularly bright. Deidara's eyes were not on him, but stared at Scorpion, as if asking why you were here. You know, this is a confidential project. He knows that he is already a member of the organization here. Is Brother Scorpion also a member of the organization here? No, Brother Scorpion's image is different from usual. If it is not a familiar person, he will definitely think it is another person. Is Brother Scorpion an undercover? Deidara frowned secretly. I was thinking in my heart, I am already a member of the organization, so should I report it? Good man, if Scorpion knew, he would cry to death. In fact, not only Deidara was surprised, but even Scorpion was extremely surprised. He got in here by accident. If he hadn't thought of passing information to the organization, he would have concentrated on studying mechanical technology. He was appreciated by the boss and accepted as a disciple. He might not have been exposed to these things. How did Deidara get in? Deidara thought for a moment and decided to wait and see. What if Brother Scorpion was also persuaded by the leader? Just when he wanted to go up and say hello to Scorpion, he was suddenly stopped by Scorpion's eyes. At this time, Deidara realized that yes, Scorpion got in and his identity could not be exposed. But why did Scorpion participate in this project? Did Scorpion also think that my art is very good and decided to change his career? Soon, the two middle-aged men finished their greetings and began to get familiar with each other. This majestic middle-aged man is called Sawai. The two are from the same school, and their teacher is Old Doyle. Harada is an expert in blasting, while Sawai is a master in mechanics. Therefore, the two had the opportunity to cooperate and jointly study the West Wind Express project. The strike capability of the West Wind Express is comparable to that of the top strongmen. Although it is not as good as people like Hashirama Senju and Madara Uchiha, it is simply devastating to other people in the ninja world. And its most important ability is not the attack power, but the distance. That's right, it is the distance. Its strike range can directly cause the enemy to suffer a major blow before they even leave the house. For example, if Konoha learned that the Hidden Cloud Village wanted to attack itself, at this time, a West Wind Express would be launched directly, and the Hidden Cloud Village would suffer heavy losses. This is also why the Umbrella Organization wants to study the West Wind Express. Harada, come and have a look. I found a good seedling. Come, let me introduce you to him. This is Fei Luhu, my favorite disciple. Harada's face fell. Wow, I was wondering why he was so enthusiastic all of a sudden. I thought we hadn't seen each other for a long time. I didn't expect him to be waiting for me here. But this time, old friend, you are going to miscalculate. Harada looked in the direction that Zay pointed, and saw a person wrapped in a black robe. He couldn't see what was inside. Harada frowned at this look. Seeing his friend's look, Zay looked at Scorpion, then at Harada, and explained, Harada, you don't know, my disciple is good in everything, but a little cautious. Yes, that's right, a little cautious. He made an armor by himself to protect his safety. He used to say it was a puppet. After my teaching, he finally changed his mind. Puppet or something, that's the term for ninjas, I don't like that. Zawai looked a little excited, and Harada finally understood. Sawai waved to Scorpion and said, Hiryuko, don't stay in your armor all day. People will think you're a ghost. This is my old friend, Harada. Deidara looked at Scorpion. It turned out that Scorpion's alias was Hiryuko. But isn't Hiryuko Scorpion's puppet? The armor they were talking about was Scorpion's Hiryuko. Deidara felt that he had figured it out, and couldn't help but feel proud of himself, but the next scene made him a little stunned. Scorpion took off his black robe, and a handsome young man walked out of the puppet. With red hair and that immature look, he was definitely a little boy. Puff. Cough cough. Deidara clenched his fist with one hand and pretended to cough. At this time, Sawai shifted his attention away from Harada and focused on Deidara. On the top, he asked hesitantly, this is... He looked at Harada, obviously asking Harada to introduce it. Those who can enter here are all good in skills, but Deidara looks too young. At this time, Harada started to show off and said in a serious manner, oh, this is also my new disciple. His level is not very good, only 30% of my level. Sawai immediately looked at Deidara with surprise. If ordinary people might think that Harada is exaggerating himself, In fact, only Sawai knows how high Harada's level is. Deidara's combat power may be higher than Harada, but Harada's most powerful is the knowledge in his mind. With 30% of Harada's level, among many researchers, he can already lead a small department. At the same time, this means that Deidara is likely to surpass Harada in the future. Sawai looked at Deidara with a little heat, but he didn't feel sorry. After all, he also found a good disciple. If it weren't for this disciple, Sawai might have opened his Sharingan out of envy. Deidara, come and meet your uncle. He is a master in mechanics and once led the construction of the second-generation fighter. Harada said slowly. The first-generation fighter was presided over by their teacher, Old Doyle. Old Doyle is still the general manager of the Sky City. These days, Deidara also learned how powerful Umbrella is. Putting aside the strength of the ninja, just the full warehouse of ammunition and the mechanical bird that can fly in the sky, which they call an airplane, can easily capture a country. His clay bird also needs chakra. If the chakra is exhausted, he can't fly. His ninjutsu is only suitable for medium and long-distance combat, while Umbrella can fight at super long distances. The strength is beyond imagination. The more you contact, the more you know why the leader surrendered. On the surface, Naruto's strength is needless to say. There are many other cage-level strongmen, there are so many weapons, and when he came into contact with explosives made without chakra, Deidara didn't expect that it could be done to this extent without chakra. In Deidara's view, it is only a matter of time before Umbrella rules the world. But this is none of his business. He just wants to study his art. This place is simply a holy place, making him feel the long-lost happiness.